You know I'm a dreamer, but my heart's a gold. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Granny's PT. This is episode 51.
51. 51. I mean, that's one after a milestone. That's all I can really say about 51.
It's pretty much it. It's kind of like, hey, how do you feel that when we had turned 41? It's like, how does it feel? I'm like, kind of feels like it did yesterday.
Exactly.
So thanks for joining us, whether it's on the Facebook live stream, if you're joining us on YouTube, if you're joining us on Twitter or Instagram or the audio-only versions, wherever you may have found your podcast. We always appreciate the support. And perhaps we are dreamers, Jason. Perhaps we are.
Perhaps we are.
Perhaps we are. Our opening song this week is Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue. If you watched Peacemaker this week, then you know the reference. So pretty much enjoy, man, because we're going to be spoiling the hell out of that episode. In the middle of our episode, it was as we typically do, before we get to our movie of the week, which is Batman and Robin.
Everybody chill.
Yes. When you commit to doing a Batman rewatch, we don't fuck around. We watch them all. We're not going to hide.
Yeah. We're not just going to cherry pick. We're going to do the good and the bad, even if it hurts us.
Exactly. And in some cases, maybe we watched it so you don't have to.
That's true. Yeah, we took a bullet for you guys in some of these cases.
Exactly. But either way, it should be a cool party once we go ahead and get into this. But to kick us off,
it's gonna be a great party, Ed. Sorry, I was gonna. If you're gonna be Arnold, I'm gonna be Uma Thurman in this, who's completely overacting. But anyway,
we would lose. We would lose our listeners one by one, and I wouldn't blame them whatsoever if we started doing that shit for like the entire show.
Yes.
I wouldn't be shocked if one of us dropped off out of nowhere and we just kind of left the other one hanging and just kept playing.
I can't do this anymore. I'm out.
No, I'm sorry. I'll see you next week. We haven't unhoused the Hoff in a little while. So, Jason, what's up? What do you got with Baywatch Nights this week?
All right. So I'm on that was the second to last episode of the season. And this is my summary because, as I said, I'm doing this new. I take no notes and I summarize it in a couple of sentences at the end. So, Mitch's friend asks him to look into a body swap of his soon-to-be ex-wife. She was murdered by her business partner and replaced with a look-alike actress. It was very Vertigo, actually. Wow. And I just want to, before I finish this, I just want to say that Mitch and his people get jobs one of two ways. One, a friend of them asks favor, or two, it is some beach or aquatic related crime that he's brought into. It's the only two ways they get business in this show. But then meanwhile, the photographer, the guy who doesn't really do much and he's kind of new to the show, it starts off with him taking pictures of this woman who's a model, and she's like, I want to be the next action star. I want to be the next Sylvester Stallone. And he's like, yeah, but Sylvester Stallone doesn't hang around in a halter top. You've got to emotionally get in character. You've got to get like him and get greasy and sweaty and shirtless, metaphorically speaking. And her manager / jealous boyfriend hears this, and he's like, "You hitting on my girl? You hitting on my girl?" And this guy's like, "No, I'm not." And he throws a bunch of pathetic punches at him, which he dodges, and he quits. And then that doesn't come back until the end when this guy corners him, and he gives him this whole speech about you don't want to fight me, you want to fight yourself. You're just feeling inadequate because you're dating a model. I'm not trying to get involved with that. And the guy goes, "No one talks to me like that," and goes to punch him again, and he dodges it and just beats the hell out of him.
God, so you went all psychological on him to get out of that one, huh?
Yeah, he was really trying not to fight this guy. And it was very clear from the beginning he could beat the hell out of him. And he does. He's like, you come near me again, I'm going to break your fingers. Something like that. It's hysterical.
Oh, my God. Wow. So I guess a lot of introspection this week on a couple of our shows.
It is. This is an introspective week, even down to the frickin' Baywatch Nights, man. It all thematically, it all links up. It's almost as if the Monitor has set this up for us way in advance.
Somehow it does work out for us.
It does. We get very lucky.
Yeah, we have. All right, so let's get into our CW verse stuff of the week. First up, as usual, is Superman and Lois, season 2, episode 4. So we pretty much Lois is dealing with Lucy and her being taken in by pretty much the inverse method. It's kind of seen as like some sort of weird cult, and she almost killed herself, like by ODing and like in a bathtub or some crazy shit like that. So there's a lot of dealings with that, and then Lois's partner at the Smallville Gazette goes ahead and tries to infiltrate them, and eventually gets shown a meeting where Lois is meeting with Lucy, and they kind of we all find out that maybe Lois was showing things kind of one-sided in a bit, but to try to protect her sister, though. So it's not like she had any ill intent. She was just trying to be protective of her sister. So, I mean, be that as it may,
It's one of those things where it's like, this woman's obviously a cult leader who is trying to get her underlings to do whatever, and in this case, kill themselves to transcend. It's very Hail Bop, the Heaven's Gate thing, right? But not on a grand scale, but on a one by one. But so she's a menace and a danger, but there's no but Lois did take some liberties, and Lois apparently did misrepresent her sister, because her sister says, you never talked about the awakening I had. She's like, that doesn't matter. You sound like a lunatic. You tried to kill yourself.
Yeah.
So, I get why Lois is doing it, but it's very interesting that they're putting personal ethics versus professional ethics with her is kind of cool.
Yeah, they've kind of got her backed into a corner from both angles right here. So she's dealing. Lois is mainly dealing with that in this episode. Lana's dealing with her mayoral opponent, who at one point fears that she's trying to dig up dirt on her daughter, and we found that her daughter apparently tried to off herself as well.
Yeah.
Previously, and has kind of worked past it and everything. But in political smear campaigns, pretty much anything goes, unfortunately. And that's what Lana and her husband are in fear of. But then then the twist comes later in the episode, though, where it turns out that her opponent is actually trying to dig up dirt on her husband,
right?
Who had a drinking problem, who's been sober for a little while. And then we find out that he may have been with a bartender at this bar he used to go to.
Yeah. That was a bombshell. I didn't see that coming. And I don't think it's alluded to. She says, "Oh, I really missed you," and he was like, "That's why I'm here." I think they got it on in the past. He cheated on Lana.
So you think so? I was wondering. I was trying to figure out that's where I went immediately, or are Superman and Lois pulling the bait and switch thing, or the twist again, like they keep on doing with the villains?
True,
or
they might be,
because they twist a lot. They led us to believe, or at least through the Lana, her husband, leading us to believe that the opponent was going to dig up dirt on the daughter, but then bam, last second it turns out to be the husband, and then are they going to try to spin again? I agree with you, though. I think it is something. I think he did something.
I think it is. I think it's going to be one of those things he was a drunk, or an alcoholic. You make bad mistakes when you're in the midst of something like that. And I think that's what happened. I think they alluded to the fact that they hit bad times. They had rocky times in their marriage when that was happening. So, and I wouldn't even be surprised, honestly, if Lana knows. I think that might be the twist, is that Lana knows that this happened. They have, as a couple, have gotten past it, but the kids don't, or something like that.
Yeah, that's possible. But for us, we had no idea. There was no, breadcrumbs being left for us or anything. It just comes completely out of nowhere. So that's something we'll have to deal with. And then Jonathan is dealing with his football situation, where he has the other rival quarterback who finds out is taking the this powder of the ex-kryptonite that was left over. It's being sold to him, ironically, by Jonathan's girlfriend. Yeah. And Jonathan is like, all right, I kind of got to even the playing field. Jason, I know you're not a sports guy, but this it takes me in my mind to what almost like what baseball was dealing with, like in the 90s and the early 2000s, where it was
the steroids.
Like, steroids, yeah, with the steroid. There you go, with the
Yeah.
steroid era. It was like, hey, listen, one guy's not doing it, the other one is, and he's getting all the benefits. You almost kind of like in a weird get backed into it. So
right. I mean, if Roger Clemens can throw a freaking 1,000-mile-per-hour fastball, like, well, you got to even the playing field somehow.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. So you can kind of see where Jonathan's coming from here. Not still saying I'm condoning it, that it's right, but like, he's obviously a teenager also and doesn't know.
Yeah,
so.
Right. And look, let's be clear. If that Kryptonite stuff existed that gave you temporary superpowers, I as a 42, am I 42? I think I don't know. I think so. I think I told you I lose years in my mind because of the pandemic. But as a mid-40s guy that I am, I would do that if it gave me like super sight or super strength.
Yeah,
I'd be like, yo, hook me up.
Yeah, exactly. So you get where he's coming from here. And then Jordan, the other son, he's dealing with something that's pretty interesting too, where he has this thing where he's in a supermarket and he's with his girlfriend and they're talking to somebody. He uses his cold breath to stop a robbery that looks like some teens or whoever are trying to steal some beer. And it made my mind immediately went to Superbad, which doesn't obviously play out like this. It's kind of like that. It's like Jordan's like McLovin now, but like Jordan with superpowers. So yeah, and then he asks his grandfather to help him out and kind of hook erase the tape, and he kind of, you want to say hand wave, raises the tape, whatever. I don't need a full explanation into how he did that. He has connections.
He gave us the explanation. I ran the DOD for like how many years? You don't think I could take care of erasing a supermarket tape? Get out of here! Like that's all the explanation you need.
Exactly. I don't need someone like you showing me that. I'm good with it. But at the end of the episode, he asks his grandfather to train him.
Yeah, which I thought
he wants to help out. Yeah, I guess he sees like Clark is dealing with the shit he's dealing with, and he sees things going on in the world. So he's like, I got these abilities. Maybe I need to do something with them. So that'll be an interesting storyline to follow moving forward. And then Superman he does actually face off against Bizarro.
Yeah, which I gotta say, I like this Bizarro a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I really, it looks good. It's not hokey. It's not cheesy. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know, like, its origin, but I'm sure that they'll explain it. But, like, I like what they're doing with this a lot. So kudos to them.
Yeah, me too. I'm digging it. And I kind of dig the fact that he hasn't spoken.
Me too.
I think if he said, like, one thing and that was about it,
you
can barely understand. But he's not doing the whole I'm speaking backwards thing.
Right.
The things we were worried about. Yeah, exactly. But John Henry, though, joins the fight and gets put in the hospital. He's like on a ventilator at the end of the episode, and his daughter finds out and is like, yelling at Clark, like, you're Superman. What the fuck? You're supposed to protect him and stuff like that. So you got to wonder if she's going to try to join the fight now and maybe build her own suit or something along those lines.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, because she doesn't want to be someone who's. I can't picture as one sitting on the sidelines too much.
Do you think they're setting up something between her and Jonathan? Because Jonathan's not going to stay with the drug dealer for long. That's going to blow up, and he's going to like leave her. She's a pretty awful person. But they've been kind of flirting and playing Madden and stuff, right?
Yeah, I can see that. And then listen, at one point, I guess if you're going to try to flirt with a girl as a teenager, then you might as well play Madden.
You might as well.
I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, it was. I don't know. Maybe I can kind of see that being a thing.
I think that's where they're going after like his relationship with the drug dealer blows up.
Yeah, because you're right. He's not going to stay with the drug dealer, and I don't see her stopping, or I don't know, because they painted the picture. She has this like really bad home situation. Yeah. So she's doing it just to kind of like help out and like survive it pretty much.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so not even that she's a terrible person, but she's doing things that are not ethical. Yeah,
and then you're not gonna I can't imagine like one of the heroes of the show are gonna be dating that person for too much longer. So I can
exactly.
So all right, so we'll see what happens with that in a few weeks, because apparently I didn't know this, but the CW shows are going to be off for 2 weeks after this.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
so we got to talk what we're going to cover next week then.
We'll chat that. We know we'll have Peacemaker and we will have Batman Begins. That's guaranteed.
Yes, that's true.
That's locked in. So, and after the adventure we've been through, we've earned Batman Begins.
I need Begins. I need it to begin, my friend.
Yes. All right, so that takes us to Naomi, season 1, episode 4. So, Jason, when again, I'm gonna have to refer to you about this show a little bit because I obviously haven't been in high school in a little while.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'll be our high school I'll be our high school expert.
Yeah, because I mean, there's just some of these things I look at and I'm like, what? So the students want these smoothies. A couple of episodes ago, they're like all fiending for Naomi's mom's smoothie. She makes the best or whatever. But they lose their mind when there's dried fruit in the candy machines.
This made no, like, here's the thing. I don't know how high schools operate in California. That's where the show takes place.
Is that where Port Oswego is? I'm sorry. Like I did.
Oh, I don't know. Is it Port?
I'm failing my I'm failing my geography at the moment. Another sign I haven't been in high school in a while.
I teach English, man.
Yeah. I thought it was in the Northwest.
Okay, well, I don't want to spend time looking. Wherever it is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is how high schools work there, but this really struck me as fake high school. You know what I mean? Like I teach in a high school, and student government barely exists in most high schools. And where it does, they don't have that kind of power. They don't have the power to go, I'm replacing all the snacks in the machine. That's just the state or the city or whoever makes the rules mandates what can and cannot be put in that machine, and the people who own the machines and make money off of them choose and put it in through there. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Like, yeah, I just what?
It just made again, fake high school. Like whenever this is like Zach Morris shit, you know what I mean? and I like Zach Morris shit for what it is, but that's fake high school. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit of a weird thing, and Naomi ends up like everyone pressures her to run for like student government and everything like that, and she doesn't want to at the end of the episode. She's just kind of like, I don't want to anyway. But you know, my opponent's okay. She's not so bad and stuff. But then she I don't know. She's like she wants to do it. She doesn't want to do it. And then ultimately decides not to. So I thought that was just a bit of a weird storyline that they had going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand why they went with that, to be honest. Like I don't understand what the point was.
No, it just seemed like it was like filler. But Naomi gets her disc back, apparently, then, and we find out that it's used to track her. So we have that, and there's also a bounty hunter that was sent from Earth 29, which we find out is where she's from.
Right, and this actually confused me because I thought she was an alien. They set up that she was an alien. Is she an alien? Is she from an alternate universe? Or is she an alien from an alternate universe? Like, it's kind of getting real complicated in ways that I don't necessarily understand why. Like, if she's a freaking alien, then she's an alien. But and if she's from another universe, but if you're going to try to do both, I don't understand.
Yeah, my guess is that they're doing both, and then maybe on Earth 29 there will be some other thing, and maybe we find out this is Hawkman from Earth 29, or like D is that. I'm not really sure, honestly, but they also haven't really, shown a lot of that yet, so that's kind of why we're guessing. Then D comes over their house for dinner. They have an extremely awkward dinner where her parents are like grilling him to no end, and he's also kind of like pushing back as well. So it's one of those awkward dinners I've seen in a while.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it starts off really awkward where they serve chicken or something, and she's like, "Mom, he has wings." It's like, Naomi, that was on you for not telling your mother who's cooking dinner, don't make poultry, stick with beef or tofu or seafood or anything except for frickin' birds.
Yeah, and my guess is like the way that household runs, it was definitely like tofu or something along those lines, something super healthy. Because it's just, I don't know, I'm all over the place with that. So they're originally from Earth 29, and Zimbadu, who's the gentleman runs the car dealership, he allegedly destroyed Earth 29. Like, it's not like what they left it and stuff, and that's why there's some of the people can't go back, and they kind of messed that up. No, they still exist, but like he kind of like fucked it up for them, and that's why they can't go back.
Right? Yeah, like it's not that he destroyed; he ruined it. Like it's not like it's probably post-apocalyptic or something. Or so, I don't know. They don't. I'm actually I am interested in that. That's because I'm going to be honest. I didn't really enjoy this episode a lot. I'm not really feeling this show, but I am curious what his deal is and what it is he did, because they make it clear it's still there. There are still people there. It's just ruined, and I'm curious. That's the thing that I want to know about.
Yeah, me too. But that bounty hunter is apparently, goes to Zimbadu, and then he goes and tracks her down at the school, and he has some like ability that he's like appearing and reappearing, very much kind of like a Jason or Michael Myers, because every corner she turns, he starts appearing. But at least we know that he has powers, unlike Jason and Michael Myers, who were kind of just there and beat you to the punch every time. I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, I mean, Jason has those underground mine tunnels.
It's true. I mean,
you saw that new remake, right?
yeah, of course. He has all of those. Or the older Jason gets hit with toxic waste in Manhattan, because that gets flushed through every night. We all know how it works. We're New Yorkers. We get it.
Look, if you haven't bathed in toxic waste accidentally in the middle of Times Square, you didn't grow up in New York. And by New York, I mean Canada.
So Naomi is saved by Dee, because this fight takes place at the high school on the football field, which they actually have a really cool fight.
Agreed.
I thought, between Dee and the bounty hunter, who isn't really given a name. But then Dee, we also find that Dee left this Earth that they're on, in 2012, because he had the love of his life that he was never able to like really tell what happened, and we find that he was dealing with some emotional stuff and wasn't able to tell her. But then that story inspires Naomi to get back with her ex-boyfriend, who's there, who they've kind of like, they have like had little moments here and there through the first 4 episodes where it's like they broke up, but then are they getting back together, or like he kind of wants to, but she doesn't, and then I don't know. It's teenage drama.
The thing with this, if they like this, here's the thing. I didn't care that they got back together because I didn't feel anything for them. Like, if this was a chemistry filled, will they, won't they, and they but like this was like, they were just some throwaway scenes that the show had to remind us of and show in a flashback. Like, so, and what are we, 4 episodes in? Well, I don't care if they get back together. Like, I'm not invested in them. So I don't know. Like, they could have done this very well. This could have been a very good device of really sort of satisfying the viewer, but I don't think they gave us enough to be invested and care, like, who she winds up with. Like, who's the alternative? Like, the other guy, like, who's geeky? Like, I don't care about him either.
Yeah, it was like the guy with the curly hair that acts as a route.
Right.
Or, there's also you like her, the girl with the purple hair seems to be flirting pretty heavy with Naomi at times.
Yeah, I like Lourdes. She's the only interesting Scooby gang.
Yeah, so I agree. Yeah, there wasn't really too much emotionally invested in that point, so that's what I was like, whatever. Not that big a deal. But apparently Naomi's powers are also tied to her emotions, because there's a couple of times throughout the episode where she's kind of like really wrapped up into things, and her powers start coming out. So I think that's something to keep track of moving forward, because I'm pretty sure that storyline's going to pay off, or that information's going to pay off at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's keep it rolling on DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Season 7, Episode 8. Dude, what the fuck, man? You give him Thawne, and then you take him away? That fast?
Wow. You go right for it. Yeah, that was fucked up.
Son of a bitch, man.
I mean, look, Thawne's not dead. Thawne's never dead. Thawne is neither one of Batman's parents or Uncle Ben, so he'll be back. Sure. But yeah, no, I mean, Evil Lance kills Thawne like straight up, and he doesn't even have a chance because he thinks it's the real Lance because he doesn't know about the evil legends. They land and murder the bar patrons, which like I think like everyone's really behind the legends, like, oh, we're gonna go and help them, and then they just get mowed down and murdered.
Jason, was that like the most brutal murdering we've seen on a CW?
I think, for sure, yeah, because that was pretty brutal. Like you see that alien guy get like speared through the gut, like
yeah, people are getting shot left and right, and they're showing headshots. I mean, not like Peacemaker where it's spitting out the other side of the person's head,
no,
but it's pretty graphic, and I kind of feel like they typically cut away from that.
Yeah, no, I agree, but no, this was a bit more brutal. And then so I know again, this works out so perfectly for what we're doing today, but Evil Steel just goes all Arnold every now and then.
That I laughed pretty hard when because it happens twice where he gets hit in the head. Robot Nate gets hit in the head, and then his voice is turned into Arnold, and obviously they're doing a gag there. And I thought it was great because again, we got lucky where it ties into what we're doing today.
Yep, exactly. I was watching that going, oh, A, that's a solid Arnold impersonation, and B, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed
it. And then so Constantine gives them, like, he's the one who puts down the plan because they escape. Like, they pretty much go, Evil Gideon goes, this is a trap, get the hell out of there. And they take the Wave Rider and leave. So Constantine is like, all right, I'll give us a plan. We're gonna just do ridiculous things to create a whole bunch of ripples in the time wave to get him back here. And like one of the things they do is they put Star Wars spoilers up like in spray paint, or Nate's playing VR.
Yeah, that was actually pretty funny.
And then they get the singing bass.
Which was almost going to open our show. That was another song that was being considered.
Like, you made the right choice, but if Peacemaker didn't exist, that would have been the perfect choice.
Yes.
And then so Bayrod sneaks onto the ship because they capture evil Bayrod, and he dresses up and he gets on there and he pretty much poisons Sharp and Astro, and they're supposed to upgrade him, and then they just start vomiting and they run to the bathroom. But I love this because they run to the bathroom and are led into the pocket dimension where they are just thrown into the abyss of hell.
Yeah, because I think it's Evil Astro that says, what the hell? And the Gary pushes them right into it. I was like, well, as you were saying.
And I kind of love that I love the way they dispatch all of them, like, because it's just really funny. Like Spooner gets dispatched because good Spooner shows up and convinces evil Gary that they're trying to dress up like us, and then when the real evil Spooner comes, he just eats her.
Yeah.
And then there's the Zari fight,
which was hilarious, by the way. They were just like,
it's hysterical. So like there's this, there's not a terrible lot going on in this episode outside of the action, but it's really fun. Lance and Steel wind up surviving, whereas everyone else is killed. And I mean the evil. And they convince, I love this, how because Thawne is dead, someone has to take her place. They trick evil Steel into taking his place to guard the timeline.
Yeah.
Which I love.
I was curious to know how they were going to get out of that briefly. I'm like, obviously they're not going to write Sarah off it. But I was also wondering maybe Sarah was going to like disappear for a couple of weeks, and then maybe I don't know if they were going to go through with it, but no, they kind of got out of that one pretty quickly. Yeah,
which I thought was really cool. And then they get back on the Wave Rider, and Gideon's killed, and then we're like, what?
Yeah.
And now we got to wait for next week to find out what happens.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Or as another Arnold movie would say, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Overall, this was a really good follow-up to the last episode. It's always fun, this show. And the action's fun. The way they dispatch the evil legends are fun. Like, again, I'm just along for the ride. So, keep going. Keep doing what you're doing, Legends.
So they also call, like, Constantine one of the legends. So I guess he's going to keep going as this character?
I guess, for a while anyway. I mean, at least for the rest of the season.
when he was setting up the plan and doing that whole thing, I really thought we were going to get like an A-Team gag.
Yeah, I thought something like that was going to come.
But didn't happen. But yeah, you're right. No, another fun episode though for Legends of Tomorrow. All right, so our final CW show for this week, Batwoman season 3, episode 11. I guess I have another question for you.
Yes.
Why is Sophie so incredibly annoying throughout this episode, and like whining about her and Ryan when there obviously is bigger fish to fry?
I don't know.
Because Ryan even tells her repeatedly,
yeah,
we've got shit going on. Can we fucking table this, until this is over with?
Yeah, it's weird. They're really trying to push their relationship, and then by the end, man, is this the most graphic sex scene we've had in the CW?
Oh, without question. I thought the same thing. I was going to ask you that too. Like
I'm watching this and I'm like, my kid's not here, right? I mean, this is this is a very, very attractive, but this is a CW show, right?
Well, Jason, they
got it on.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan and Sophie just, it's like no holds barred.
Like this thing was shot like a softcore porn. Like you see her, you see Sophie remove Ryan's pants and she's stroking her thigh and moving legs. And I'm like, are they gonna start, like, how graphic is this gonna get?
Yeah, you have to wonder for a second, like, how far are they gonna push this on CW? I mean, I don't watch any of the other CW shows besides the ones we cover, the superhero stuff.
Yeah,
but I don't know if other shows like I don't know what they have, Dynasty and Riverdale or whatever the hell. Maybe those shows go that far.
Dynasty, I don't think goes that far. So Regina watches Dynasty, which means I've watched a ton of it.
Okay.
And there are some sex scenes, but I don't know. I've never watched Sex and Dynasty and gone like, is this softcore porn? Like this was, and I'm not even. It's not a ding against the episode. I'm not complaining. I was just like surprised that this was on a CW show.
Yeah, I was also a bit surprised that they went that far, but overall, you're good.
So I think this episode is a real mixed bag for me. I've been liking a lot of these episodes. I'm sad to see they let the Poison Ivy stuff go so quickly. I think they could have done a bit more with it, but whatever. Marcus wakes up. He's back. He's actually dressing like the Joker at this point. I think they call it out as him dressing Joker chic.
Yeah.
I like him actually. Again, I like him. I like what they're doing with him. I love that he kind of uses wealth and gets into Arkham Asylum and starts using the Arkhamites as his own personal army. We get the return of Victor Zsasz, which this is officially, and you knew who I meant when I texted you after you saw it.
Immediately.
This is literally my favorite Victor Zsasz of all time. This guy is hysterical. This guy knows exactly what show he's in because he goes to kill Ryan and Jada. And he's like, Ryan, I remember you. How are you doing? I was going to say congratulations on becoming the CEO, but then, I thought it would be rude because you like, and he's being genuine. He's not like taunting her.
Yeah, he has a lot of things there where he says that he's like obviously batshit crazy.
Yes.
But like really seems like he actually has some real interest in what's going on there because of the stuff with Ryan and her mother.
Right, where he gives him that moment. He's like, well, you could figure things out. Maybe Batwoman will come. If not, I'll have to kill you. But at least you could figure it out before he kill you. Like that's the thing is he's crazy, but he's not evil. Like this is a job, and hey, I like you, Ryan. I gotta kill you, and that sucks, but I like you.
Yeah, he doesn't pull out a rocket launcher in an apartment in this episode, though.
No, unfortunately not. That is still my favorite moment of season 2.
Oh my God, that's nuts.
So, I thought that was cool. And then, but what, and I know what I'm going to say here. I think the stuff that doesn't work is the fact that they fucking keep saying this buzzer is magic. I don't understand this. Like, so, and my literal note, my fourth note is the buzzer again. And so that's the whole thing is like the B plot is, who is it? It's Mary and, is it Mary and Sophie that go look for Kiki?
Yes.
Right, so Mary and Sophie go look for Kiki, who is
no, Mary and Alice.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary and Alice. My bad.
Luke goes with Sophie to break into Wayne Tower.
You're right. So Luke does that, and I don't even have notes about that. Who cares about that? He winds up like getting help with his father's AI or something, right?
He ends up taking the AI back from Marcus, because Marcus has it, because Mary gave it to him. But it does lead to a pretty cool fight where Batwing actually gets to like do something and be there. He does do this cool move where he kind of like flies quickly and clotheslines two people.
Okay, yeah,
that was kind of cool.
You're right. So, that was cool.
Hey, we don't get a lot of Batwing yet, so I mean,
I'm right.
holding on. I'm holding on to what I got.
You're right, and I can't wait to get more Batwing. I like the actor a lot.
Yeah.
But so Kiki was like one of the Joker's old goons, and they search her out because the buzzer's broken, and someone needs to fix this magical buzzer that can undo brain damage. And their whole thing is like, well, the point, it was created to make people sociopaths, so of course it'll undo it. It's like, but again, no, it doesn't freaking work that way. And then like the whole twist at the end is Kiki was creating the buzzer to give it to Marcus, because she's working with him now instead of the Joker, and you find out her therapist was Harleen Quinzel, which I actually thought that was funny. She's like, my therapist used to tell me I didn't open up enough, but then of course my therapist was Harleen Quinzel, so take that for what you will. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good.
But then like this buzzer stuff, like Marcus gets the buzzer and it's super important to him because reasons, and Alice wants the buzzer because she wants to use it on herself to make herself sane, like, and they have this whole thing like, oh, it'll shock your brain and realign it to fix the damage. None of that makes any sense at all. Look, even if you want me to buy this will fix Marcus because it's the thing that made him this way, even if that's what you want me to buy, you cannot expect me to buy that Alice, who was made a sociopath through years of traumatic torment from her captors after being taken from her family and presumed dead, you can't tell me that an electric jolt to the head would work. Because if that were the case, we wouldn't have stopped doing freaking electroshock therapy as a form of torture. We would be doing it because it cures people.
That is a very, very great point right there, actually. Which I didn't think about it like that, but you're right. You're 100% correct.
Yeah, I mean that's what this thing like, and I guess I'm pissed off because I really did feel the writing of the show got better. And I, again, you tell me the Mad Hatter's hat has something in it that makes him take over minds. Okay. Hey, that scientifically doesn't work? No, but because it's scientifically not possible, hand wave, I get it. You figured out how it works. Yeah. Croc's DNA gets into you become a Croc. All right, yeah, fine. That's because it's all fantasy, right? Yeah. But when you start delving into how the actual science of brain chemistry and you try to like fiddle with reality, it's like, no, just look, tell me the Joker had a magic wand that made him crazy and that's what they're going for. I'll accept that, but not a freaking electric joy buzzer.
Yeah, when you try to use actual science and you start explaining it like based on real science, that's when you start losing people.
Me too. Yep. Yeah, that's when they lost me. And I'm kind of pissed because I was enjoying this show. And again, I even enjoyed a lot of this episode. The only thing I didn't enjoy about this episode was this garbage with the buzzer. But like, again, I like this Marcus guy. I like that we saw Arkham Asylum. I kind of dig the kind of, they're straddling a tone between Batman 66 and sort of a darker Batman. And they've tried this in the past seasons and failed. I think they're actually doing a better job this season. And so that's why I'm kind of pissed. Like, why are you insisting trying to make this buzzer thing work?
Jason, are you alluding to somewhat current movies that tried to straddle or replicate Batman 66 but failed miserably?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. See, I've gotten better. Usually, look at past shows, I would have started off cursing and screaming about the movie. I've said nothing about it.
Not yet, but I have been throwing out. I've been tossing some bait here and there to see what happens. But you have rightfully not taken it yet, and that is the right approach.
Because I decided that in the honor of this movie, that I would come in ice cold.
Wow. Uh-huh. That's pretty good. All right, so other DC shows that we have on HBO Max, we have Peacemaker season 1.
Yeah, I'm just showing this off. Literally, my Peacemaker action figure came today in the mail.
Looks pretty cool, man.
Thank you.
I like that. All right, so we pretty much get a answer to a burning question that we've had that's been cliffhangers the last 2 episodes about Myrn as the butterfly. So we find out the whole team knows,
which I
right
love
off the bat.
And I love Economos. Like, yeah, what happens? Did Economos know? Yeah, but he just puts his fingers in his ears. And when they say, she's like, Hardcore goes, yeah, well, she knows now that Myrn's a butterfly. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, like literally. Well, actually, we do have an unexpected, well, somewhat unexpected guest right now popping in and joining us.
Am I ever unexpected?
I always expect you.
Do you? What's up, Tim? What's going on?
Nah, fellas, what's going on? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. I am loving that hat, Tim.
Thank you. I'm kind of a mess. My eyes are a little puffy. My hair's all fucked up, so I figured I'll go private eye on you. I don't know. What do you want to call it? What do you call the look? I don't know.
Well, don't worry about it. Rick does it all the time, and he might be joining us shortly, too. He's always wearing sunglasses on the show. So.
Oh, it's just I got like allergies on my eyes are super puffy, and they look like crap, so.
Oh, okay. I should hit you with the Mrs. LaRusso. Drop the sunglasses. I want to see the baby browns.
Yeah, no baby browns today. Baby blues.
So yeah, we just started off Peacemaker. We're talking about how the whole team knows that Myrn is a butterfly. Not Peacemaker and Vigilante, obviously, but Economos and Hardcore, obviously Myrn. But we get a lot of information about them that they came to Earth, just to kind of because their planet was being destroyed, and of course we're in the middle of a civil war of butterflies, where Goff is pretty much like, hey, we can kind of take this shit over, so let's go ahead and have a plan for world domination, of course, and that's where his crew goes. They want to rule the planet, but we also get some information about Myrn the human before he was taken over. He was a horrible person. That's why he was selected to be taken over, because we found out, too, that once a butterfly takes you over, before we see the process, because the process is nasty.
It's freaking brutal, man. It made me uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, it's like jumping in and his blood splattering all over the place. It looks like they're having like a seizure. But, yeah, we find out, he was a pretty terrible person, and that's kind of what happened. And I thought it was funny how Myrn's about to explain what a cow is, and then they cut into the opening scene. The opening title credits.
Myrn has a great moment, by the way. Like, that actor's so good. And it doesn't come in the title, but it comes around this time where, like, Peacemaker, no, not Peacemaker, because Peacemaker's not yet. But what's her face? Tasty. God, I forget her name in the show.
Adebayo.
Thank you, Adebayo. Where she's like, but he was a person. And Myrna's like, yes, he was a terrible person, but I wake up every morning with his memories. And he has this beautiful moment where he's like, and I know that even he could have been redeemed. And I took that from him. And I thought that was a beautiful bit of acting from that actor. And it was a great character moment. It was at that moment that I went, shit, if Myrn winds up being a bad guy, then I don't know, man. They really suckered me, because that was good.
That was really good. And by the way, apparently he's also not Myrn, but the actor is going to be in Guardians Volume 3.
Oh, okay, awesome.
So maybe he's like a James Gunn guy now. I was just like, all right, come on, like, you're one of my guys now.
I'm in for it. I like him.
Hey, did we get a line, though, that actually said it's a civil war? Because I got the impression that it was just Myrn by himself.
No, Myrn says he was the lone dissenter.
Okay, so let me clarify civil war then. There's Myrn versus the other butterflies who want to go ahead.
Now isn't this is the problem when you're in this? This is a Justice League problem. This is like wouldn't you think this is a Justice League problem? Yeah,
this isn't like a Peacemaker, like Black Ops problem. This is like get Batman on the phone, have him get the troops together, and figure this shit out.
Well, I'm just saying, I guess to an extent, but also they do explain in episode 5 why they have to have a Black Ops team after it, though, because every time in the past someone tried to look into this, it got like tabled and put to the side, and that team like was kind of like taken out. So maybe it never would have gotten to the Justice League because government never would have told him about it.
Do you guys think the butterflies could take over Superman or like one of the Justice League? Not Batman. They obviously couldn't take over Batman because he's too powerful.
That's a given.
Of course.
No, but seriously, do you think they could take over someone with like a metahuman or an alien?
So an alien taking over like an alien?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Maybe we'll find out.
Yeah, we got 2 episodes left to see because it doesn't happen this one. But we also got one of my favorite scenes, I think, of the season is Peacemaker showing up to show and tell day and with a bunch of kids in a classroom.
I love that.
How funny was that?
It's for the daughter of the janitor from the first episode, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is ridiculous. They harked all the way back to that.
I thought it was great. And when he calls back and says, "Oh yeah, you remember when you told me you would do anything for me, no matter what?" It's like, I never said anything like that. But okay.
And also, we get the return of Kite Man talk.
Oh God!
I actually did make a list of the things that get mentioned in this classroom as kids are raising their hands and asking Peacemaker questions.
Awesome.
Some little girl asks him about Wonder Woman, and he makes up this crazy story about how she fucked him at a party. The entire party. She
IF'd me over the entire party. What are you doing? I said I effed.
Yeah. And then you find out that some little girl with a Flash t-shirt was like so excited. It's like, hey, have you met the Flash? She's like, yeah, just like everybody. They find them to be an insufferable douchebag. And the kid's like, oh, like just gets like so sad. Yeah, and then he tells another story. It actually opens where he's telling the story how he took this battle with Kite Man. And it was like this black diamond. And the kid calls him out like, well, if Kite Man was up there and going away with the black diamond, and you said it weighed this much, and he had a kite, wouldn't have just like gravity would have pulled him down? It's like,
no.
And then the other kid was just like busting his chops a little bit with that. And he's like, well, let me ask you something. Why are you my least favorite kid in this classroom right now? And the kid answers him back like, because I can see right through you and that you're a loser.
Which is brilliant. Yeah. So brilliant.
And the last two ones, though, was that someone asks him, like, do you have an origin? Oh, no. So they also asked, does he have like a
rogues gallery?
A rogues gallery. Yeah, what's the word that they use for it in the show?
A coterie
of villains. He's like, no, next question. Like, enough of this bullshit. But he gets asked about an origin story. And it's actually like a serious moment then, because he pauses and thinks about it.
And you see flashbacks.
He flashes back to when he fought his brother and killed him, and his father saying, like, what the hell did you do, you idiot? You killed him. And him, like, praying, I think that looked like he was praying for that maybe his brother wouldn't die or something like that, or maybe for forgiveness or something. I thought that was actually a really, really nice moment. But then, of course, they end it where some little girl's like, hey, do you know who Becky Coolidge is? And she's like, oh, yeah, I haven't seen her in like 10 years. And like, well, you might be my dad.
Yeah.
And they was like, all right, time to go. Let's go. Let's get him out of here. And end of show and tell now. Let's get moving.
I liked all the names he was calling the kids when he was asking them.
I couldn't keep track of them. Did you have any of them?
So funny.
He was like, he was like fat kid. Spire, whatever. Yeah, that was pretty funny too.
Wasn't one like Rubik's Cube champion 2025?
Yes.
Yeah. Chinese, of course, the Chinese kid.
Yes.
Oh yeah. It was pretty funny. And then while they're walking out, like you mentioned, the janitor from the hospital, he was just like, well, the most important, he tells him why he brought him there, because the person last week had some sort of like an exotic animal, and his daughter was sad. So he was like, well, what's most important? Just making the other kid feel like shit, right? Thanks for coming down, Peacemaker. I appreciate it.
And I love that he said, like, he goes through a whole explanation, like, and there's really no one in our family that is impressive enough to bring in, like.
Yeah. So then it cuts to August Smith getting released, and he pretty much is immediately like, the guy who picks him up is like, dude, I'm gonna go and do something I should have done a long time ago. I'm gonna go and kill my son.
Ooh, this, like, his storyline in this is dark, man.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Where we are at the end of this with him, Jesus.
Yeah, he only gets like 2 scenes, but like it's tells a lot.
Right.
Yeah, because he pretty much makes that plan, and it sets up at the end of the episode like everyone and their mother is after Peacemaker now.
And he gets No, he gets a costume. Like, is that like a comics accurate costume?
Yeah, that's
Because
a White Dragon comics accurate costume that he gets. So they cut to it later, but he ends up suiting up as the White Dragon like for the first time. We saw the costume when Vigilante and Peacemaker popped into this random open up magical closet thing that he has in his
wherever
apartment.
that is.
Yeah, it just goes. But yeah, so he has that, and he has this bunch of dudes that they don't have like traditional like clan hoods. They're all like the White Dragon and have these.
Yeah, it's like
ears.
White Dragon hoods.
So they're like bowing to the White Dragon and saluting the White Dragon. Like, oh shit! So this guy really is like a super villain. Like he's like got a costume and everything, and looks like he's got power like abilities with the suit and everything. It's pretty wild. But cut back to it though. So we see Peacemaker in his apartment feeding Goff, who at that point is in a little jar being fed with like the goo and stuff like that. And then Vigilante shows up. There's a lot of funny shit in there. Jump in if you got anything, because their whole conversation is there where he knocks on the door and he's like, all right, Vigilante, come in. He goes, well, how the hell did you know it was me? He's like, well, you knocked really annoyingly. No, I'm sorry, man.
I love that Vigilante calls him out like, you only like to hang out with people who can't talk back to you. Best friends eagerly. And John said, Peacemaker's like, yeah, you're right. And he starts talking, and Vigilante goes to give something, and he goes, so could you shut the fuck up? I'm having a moment here. It's so funny.
And he explains
their
why.
dynamic is so great. Their dynamic in this show.
It is. I love that guy who plays Vigilante. He's really won me over.
He's absolutely hilarious. And I guess we got a fourth person joining us in for this week.
From the bunker.
From the bunker. Rick, what's up, man?
What's up, everybody?
What's up, Rick?
How's it going?
I love how I spent the last hooking up my headphones and they're not connected.
Oh, that sucks.
I hear you good, though. I hear you good.
Okay. So yeah, we were talking about the scene in Peacemaker where Vigilante shows up in his apartment, and there's a lot of funny shit that's said there. And Peacemaker also explains why he has Goff there, because Vigilante's like, dude, the guy tried to cut my toe off, try to kill us. Why do you have him kept there? He's like, well, I'm a little insecure in my masculinity, so I need to overcompensate with actually having a really dangerous pet.
Yes.
And they're just super quiet about it.
The whole scene where they're asking him questions too is fucking brilliant. Like, It's got to be yes or no questions, right? It's like it's Star Trek rules, right? Tap on the glass twice if it's yes or once if it's no. And they're asking questions. And Vigilante's like, so what's your plan? Dude, yes or no questions. You keep putting all these rules on it. No,
what's your favorite color?
That's it. What's your favorite color? Is it teal?
It's like yes or no. Yes or no questions, and don't be an idiot. And Vigilante's like, how am I supposed to follow the second one?
Then he asks again, is your favorite color teal?
Yeah.
Like, knock it off with the colors. And why are you picking teal?
And Vigilante's explanation is great. It's like, well, wouldn't you find it interesting if we knew there was an alien whose favorite color was teal? That's so interesting to you. And Vigilante's he like steals things, man, left and right. Of like how quick and everything his lines are. It's really fun. Is Rick frozen? I think Rick is frozen. Right.
Yeah, he's frozen.
But he will unfreeze himself.
He did it on purpose, just for this show.
I think he did.
Everyone's gonna freeze for this show.
Yes. Everybody chill.
Dude, that's what you should do for the show. As soon as it comes on, everyone just freeze and shut the show off. That's it.
That's the review.
That's the review. Mr. Freeze.
So yeah, Rick is now back. He is unfrozen.
There we go.
Rick, where's Tim? Right? Were you doing it on purpose and freezing yourself?
I was wondering if anyone was going to catch up to it.
So some of that to come, but yeah. So the police are there. They're raiding the apartment while this is all going on, or trailer, or whatever the heck it is that Peacemaker's living in right now. But then they're escaping, and they escape through this like highlight, and Eagly is pushed through there, and they're on the roof trying to like climb out and escape through like the woods, and
they get caught right away. Like
Sophie sees Eagly. You know what I thought was funny is that she asked, like, wait a second, doesn't Chris have a pet eagle? And they're like, well, that's the rumor. So there's a rumor going around the police department that Peacemaker, this hero that has a pet eagle?
I love that.
I thought that was great. And he asked Vigilante, and he's like, dude, I took an Uber here.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get
take an Uber? Yeah, he's like, I thought we were going to get fucked up.
It's a day off. Thought we had to get fucked up.
How funny is it, guys, that, like, so think about this for a second. Vigilante is going to go to Peacemaker's place because he thinks they're going to get fucked up and shows up in Vigilante costume.
Yeah, of course.
And Peacemaker's sitting there eating cereal. Yeah, and he's eating cereal as breakfast with his gloves on and his in full costume as well.
Because they're both maniacs.
That's so fucking funny to me. It gets me every time. But the big thing, though, is that when he's telling him and he leans back like, oh, I thought we were going to get fucked up, he falls off this tree because he has Goff and a glass attached to him, and that shit breaks, and she gets loose because we find out Goff, by the way, is a she.
Yes.
And also Myrn explains that it has a vagina. And then there's a whole scene where they're explaining what that is.
Aliens have vaginas?
Yeah.
What do you call it? I don't know. Unlike humans, we don't name our vaginas and penises.
It's a really funny exchange. But Goff getting out, though, jumps into Sophie. And that shit causes a shitstorm.
Man, I did not. It's at this point of the episode that I was like, "What the hell is happening?" Because I did not see her. Like, she goes down, man. She's dead. She's now taken over by Goff, and yeah, I mean, I'll let you get into what the shitstorm comes after. But I watched this going, "What the hell is happening?"
Yeah, well, and that's what we alluded to earlier. The whole transformation really is fucking brutal. Where there's blood flying out, and she walks around once Goff has Sophie. Walks around with all blood splatter on the side of her face, doesn't clean it off. It looks like, Rick, it looks like something straight out of like a horror movie right there.
It reminded me, as I was posting yesterday on Pop Culture Pros, Korean zombie movie.
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
The whole thing, even the awkward smiles.
Yes.
They're all about the body horror, and the awkward smiles reminiscent of the Joker. Reminiscent of what's kind of going on here. I loved it. Plus all the blood splatter, them not cleaning it off.
Yeah, and then also
it reminded me of a Korean zombie movie.
I was also going to say, like, it also kind of reminded me at points of Slither, of James Gunn horror movie that he's done. That's like really violent like that. So it seems like it's something he would write into this and found the way. This isn't something he could do with Guardians, so he's doing it now with like the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, so I thought that was actually pretty cool. But then that leads into this chase into the woods where they're getting chased by the cops. And, right before that, though, Vigilante is about to fucking shoot one of the cops. And Peacemaker mouths to him like, it's a cop. And he's like, wait, she has a cock? Like, I guess she has a cock. That's it. He's like, cop. Like, throughout the episode, Peacemaker he's actually trying not to kill people anymore.
No, and he has a breakdown at the end because of some innocent deaths. You know what I mean? So we do see a lot of like character development in this episode, and he actually admits like, no, I don't want to kill people. I don't want to kill fucking kids. I don't want to kill innocent people. Like, he has kind of like this breakdown at the end. So we do see this like transformation throughout the episode.
Yeah, we see a lot of transformations in this episode, but yeah, that's one of them. So the chase into the woods, Eagle
transforming out of the bunker.
What happened? The bunker's no good anymore?
The internet's driving me nuts.
Okay.
So we're going to take a tour around my mansion of Wayne Manor.
Okay. So the chase into the woods leads where Eagle is taking out cops, by the way, and he's like being super like badass about it. And Vigilante's also taking some out too. He's flinging knives at them, and he hits one like the shoulder. He's like, hey, whatever, Peacemaker. The worst that could happen is he's going to be like paralyzed, so get over it. Like it's nothing. Yeah, and then
he was awesome in that scene. Eagle was awesome in that scene.
Yeah, that was like the most we got to see Eagle do, like
taking out eyeballs and shit. It was
great. That was brutal.
But then Captain Locke shows up in the woods, starts shooting people in the head, and you see the blood splatter going on. Yep. And it's like, listen, get out of here. And they're like asking him what's up. He's like, listen, do you want to ask stupid questions or do you want to live? And Vigilante does contemplate it for a second. Like,
Yeah.
wait, should we ask the stupid questions?
Yeah,
or
should we
should
And this is what causes Peacemaker to have his breakdown, because he literally says, like, I watched this guy shoot a couple cops. One of them was unconscious. Like, this does not sit well with him.
No, not at all. And some of them are even like, saying no and stuff, or like pleading, and he's just shooting them right in the face and executing them and mocking them at the same time, which leads to the post-credit scene where he knows when the other cops are showing up, and he's just trying to smile and trying to get himself to like correct himself.
Yeah.
And he can't stop laughing. I'm sorry, he's trying to get himself not to smile.
He's trying to get himself to cry.
He's trying to fake cry, and he keeps laughing. That dude is fucking nuts. And that's before he gets the fucking butterfly in his face. So you can see where him and Myrn would have been like good buddies, being like, because we found out about Myrn.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's because they do know each other, right? Like
yes.
They have said like they were friends before the transformation.
Yeah, and when the cops show up though to question what happened, he describes the Hamburglar to them. It's like, like Caucasian dude, about 5'3", striped sweater with a red mask or something, big hat,
bow tie, says rubble, rubble.
Yeah, and then when they walk away and he does his rubble by himself, and it's like rubble. It's really funny. So the Vigilante, he gives them a car, which Vigilante destroys the burner phone immediately, and Peacemaker lets him have it about that shit, and then takes his phone eventually, and we find out that Vigilante's passcode for his phone is Peacemaker's birthday.
Yes, it is.
Because,
he's in love with Peacemaker, right? Like,
he totally has a man crush on Peacemaker. There's no question about it.
How do you know my code? I know my own fucking birthday.
Yeah. And he asks him, after he destroys the phone, he asks him about the cloud. He's like, I should go on the cloud. And he gets pissed off and goes on his tangent about the fucking cloud was what happened when I was locked away. What the fuck, man? Not people with this damn cloud. Well,
I still don't get the cloud, so it's all right.
It's somewhere where shit is stored. End of story. I don't need to get into anymore.
Wait, is it literal clouds? I thought literally we just sort of plugged into clouds and they kept our data.
Yes. The cloud over my house has my pictures in it.
The clouds.
Yeah. right, to the clouds, the literal clouds, which is why I can't get my data when it's sunny out.
And when it rains, it comes back into your phone again. Like it all comes back to you. You got to send it all back out again.
Welcome to Old Men Talk About how they see technology.
But then after that whole thing, Captain Locke walks over and is handed Peacemaker's diary, which Adebayo planted last week. So now that comes into play. We find out at the end where a shitstorm that led to, because it's really not talked about too much leading up to that. But he kind of most tracks down where the fluid is coming from, and that's when we find out there's an actual like cow that is making this stuff, and it's in a barn, and maybe they have this like whole thing. So they track that thing, and that's where they got to go to find it. And I'm sure we'll see that next week. But everyone seems to know about this, but Peacemaker. And Peacemaker's looking around like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he feels betrayed. And he gives Adebayo this stare. Like, I thought we were just a team. Mm-hmm. Just last week, we were this whole team. We had this whole bonding moment. You guys are keeping shit from me.
I thought that was a very cool moment, and like, because I feel it when he feels betrayed, you know what I mean? Because he also says, like, when he says, by the way, Goff escaped, and what do you mean he escaped? You killed him. He's like, no, see, you guys never level with me. I didn't trust you. I wanted to find out what was going on. I kept him a prisoner, and it's like, yeah, I get that. I mean, I don't think he's wrong in that, because they aren't telling him things that he needs to know.
Yeah, and these are things that could have actually potentially got him killed.
Yeah,
if he didn't know some of this stuff. So it isn't really cool what they're doing. But this is like.
Did you guys cover the title of the episode already?
Oh, was it Myrn?
Burn
before reading.
Myrn after reading.
Burn after reading.
Myrn after reading.
So all about keeping secrets.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then we get this whole montage where Goff goes ahead as Sophie and goes on a computer and calls like all these butterflies and shit like that. And we get this like pretty cool montage where the butterflies are showing up in these like little spaceship type things. And they're all like coming out, and she does this weird scream to them. And throughout this montage, they go to the police station and they take over all the cops and all the prisoners, and just a bunch of people like getting butterflies jumped in their fucking mouths. And that's really crazy. And also that's when we see Augie Smith suiting up as the White Dragon and, you know, his whole transformation. And the monster song that's playing is obviously doubling as, you know, aliens being monsters doing this stuff. And then also, you know, White Dragon being created and doing and suiting up and doing his whole thing. So that was it's a pretty wild montage that they put together.
And I think there's some really cool visuals of like Fitzpatrick running, and they're just like, you know, they're going to overtake him. And I think that hit me a bit more because he had this moment with Sophie after the goth got in her, and she was like, oh, she cared about you. Remember this, have a nice moment, you know, because you kind of think, okay, so she's gonna let this guy live, but no, she then comes back and like takes over him and the captain and the prisoners, and it's a brutal scene because again, watching these things, they literally burrow in through your mouth, you spit blood, have a seizure, wake up, and you're not you anymore. It was a really brutal scene,
and that ties into what Rick was mentioning earlier, that they have that shot where they're all walking out, the prisoners and the former police department are walking side by side together, and these weird, crazy smiles on their faces. And it loops back to what Sophie says earlier when she tries to smile. Yeah. And she's like, well, man, they don't understand it. You got to learn the smile for each body and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like for each face, it's different. It's very creepy.
Super.
You know what I wonder about that? We've only been introduced to one female. Like, do they have like a queen? Like, is she going to be like their queen bee? And all of the rest are males that have to follow her. They don't. Yeah. Do we have any idea that they're a split species, or you know?
I don't know. The only one they've alluded to was that Goth is the female, like queen leader type that you were saying. But yeah, we don't know what any of the other ones are just yet.
But but that's a good point, Rick, because if it follows like how like ants or other bees, other insects sort of operate, there is a queen. And the males are like the slaves. The males are the workers. Right. So that's a great point. I'm curious if they're going to mirror that, if that's going to be important.
Yeah, it's a good show.
And I would expect the queen to be very, very big.
Yeah.
Like very big.
Well, that would be, if we're going Animal Kingdom, that would be what's making all that honey.
Oh, yeah.
It's good. Or it's kind of like how, Vigilante makes a joke out of it because he's asking one of his questions and asks if it's like aliens. Like, are you going to go ahead and impregnate us and stuff like that and force there? And Peacemaker's like,
oh my God, yeah.
And he's like, well, how else am I going to ever experience motherhood?
That was hysterical.
that was pretty funny. Yeah, or it could be like aliens or something like that. So then we get a scene with Ada Bayou and her girlfriend where she's torn. She's like, man, this guy really trusted me. You know, even though he's like a goof, but he's a nice guy. And I had to do something. She's pretty much telling her girlfriend about the whole thing with planting the book on the diary on Peacemaker and how she feels really torn about it. But I thought it was really interesting, though, just a nugget that was thrown into there that the girlfriend suggests, you know, let's just go. Let's leave. Let's go back to Gotham. So I'm like, oh, shit. They reside in Gotham normally. I thought that was kind of cool. May or may not be, it might be insignificant. I mean, who the hell knows?
In the comic books, that's where Amanda Waller's from.
From Gotham.
Oh, really?
She's from Gotham, like born and raised.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's how somebody in the DC universe, that's a city that would bring up an Amanda Waller type of character.
For sure.
That's true.
Unless it's a, hey, what's up, buddy?
Baby
Hello?
Yes.
Let's say Batman?
There we go.
I'm still waiting for the week when Jax jumps on Tim's lap and during the show and then he sits there.
I'll punch him in his face.
For the Batman movie.
Yes. So we get that, but then there's a scene where Peacemaker shows up and goes to the video store base of theirs, and Hardcore is putting a dove of peace. He's putting a dove of peace on a gun for Peacemaker, and that's what he admits. I don't want to kill anyone moving forward. I was just using this dove of peace thing as an excuse because I just, it's not my thing. And they have a nice moment where she goes ahead and she's leaving, and she tells him her first name for the first time, that it's Amelia. and then Peacemaker goes on, finds a piano, and he has his breakdown moment where he plays Motley Crue's Home Sweet Home. And apparently, from what I've seen, that really was John Cena playing the piano and playing the song.
Yep.
Wow.
That was pretty cool.
I was going to ask that because that looked like legit he was playing it. And it sounded cool. I mean, I have to admit that this show is making me sort of like listen to 80s hair metal again. I haven't listened to that stuff since I was a kid.
You have Spotify?
I do, yeah, I do.
They have there's a Peacemaker playlist that James Gunn updates every episode. And it has everything that they've referenced in there. So
I gotta
Spotify,
get that.
check that out.
Nice. How old is he?
James Gunn?
Yeah.
I don't know. Good question. I'm going to use the magic of the internet to find out very quickly.
Wait, so you're asking Cyborg?
Hi, James.
Yes, I'm going to ask Cyborg right now. James Gunn's 55.
What?
All right.
Okay, 55.
No, okay.
So it lines up that he'd have a pretty good knowledge of the music he's used in Guardians and in
He's got great taste in music.
Unlike a lot of us that were kids during that time, he was already a man.
Yeah, we listened to it because like either parents or we heard it somewhere or something like that, and then we got into it eventually.
By the way, little trivia. They're talking about Hanoi Rocks. Motley Crue, Vince Neil killed the lead singer of Hanoi Rocks in that famous car accident.
Oh, really?
Oh.
I did not know that.
Yep, they were drinking and driving, and he killed Razzle from Hanoi Rocks. So when I hear Hanoi Rocks, I don't think of their music. I think of their lead singer dying at the hands of Vince Neil, who did not want to do 1 day of jail for that murder.
Wow.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. I think most people who were in hair metal bands in the 80s has at least killed one prostitute.
At
least.
Easily.
Well, Nikki Sixx killed himself and woke up. he literally died and woke up with the needle in his arm and went, "Oh, I should probably change this."
And that's when he realized, I'm a Highlander.
Yeah.
It's me and Mick Jagger. We're all musical Highlanders.
They had him in the ambulance. He literally was dead, and then he woke up. He's like, "Oh, I guess I should." Oh, good. Yeah. Maybe I should change my life around.
So after the piano scene, Captain Locke pretty much is Peacemaker seeing Captain Locke on TV, who's pretty much reading a bunch of stuff from the Peacemaker diary, which is pretty much telling everyone, pinning everything that's happened in the entire season on Peacemaker. That he killed the government representatives, he killed the person in the hotel, which was the butterfly he had in the hotel room. He's pretty much done everything. And Captain Locke is saying, all police everywhere, public enemy number one is Peacemaker. And he's ending the episode's ending with him, screaming like, "What the fuck?" So
now, here's my question.
Wow.
Because when I first saw this episode, I went, okay, well, obviously the butterflies are bad guys. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, are they? Like, if you put yourself in Goth's shoes, right? We don't know what they did before there. Mm-hmm. She was abducted by Peacemaker after he killed surprise attacked when she thinks killed 3 of her family or soldiers or wherever they were. Kept her in a jar for weeks. They're being hunted. Like, I don't know. Like, I think I think it's less likely, but I think they still could be a twist where they're not really the bad guys.
And why did Goff write peace on the jar?
Right.
Was that just a ploy to get out, or was he really saying, "Dude, I'm not the bad guy"?
I thought it was a ploy to get out. I could be completely wrong though, but
that's a huge question.
Yeah. I thought it was a ploy to get out there, so that's kind of what I was thinking.
Here's the thing: is we still have the line that Judo Master said: the butterflies aren't what they seem. And James Gunn is a good writer; he wouldn't just leave that dangling and forget about it. Like, if there's got to be a payoff for that, and if the payoff is not that they're good, that's fine. I mean, it could be something else, but like, what's the payoff?
Yeah,
and that's kind of why I still think that they might be good, and this might have been like, oh, you abduct me, you force my hand? Well, fuck you. I'm going to show you what we can do. Because they could have done this at any time. They could have just called down butterflies and taken over people en masse at any time. Why haven't they?
Yeah.
That's a good question. But then what does that mean about Mern's perspective, though, that he is the one who broke off and was trying to stop them from taking over?
That's the only thing that throws the monkey wrench into my thoughts about this, is because I do believe, based on the monologue he gives, I do believe that he, in his own mind, is a good guy. So I don't know.
Yeah. Keep us guessing for the last 2 episodes, I'll tell you that much. Because right now the police still everywhere are after Peacemaker. He's dealing with the butterfly situation because it looks like they're coming to wreck shop. And you've also got your father, the White Dragon, coming after you with his crew. So he's pretty much really knee deep into the shit right now.
Yeah.
So
did you guys talk about his diary yet?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the diaries, though, it has been him pinning everything on him, though. Right. I mean, it's obviously not written by him.
Did you notice that his diary had the Enterprise logo from the Bale trilogy?
What was that?
So on Peacemaker's diary, the one that they provided, the fake one, the Wayne Enterprises sticker, because I was just recently watching Batman and Robin, and maybe I saw a different Wayne Enterprise logo. It's the one from the Christian Bale trilogy, from the Nolan trilogy.
Interesting.
That's what's on Peacemaker's diary.
Okay. I don't.
Maybe wonder if
weird.
Shared universe or something.
No, I don't think Christian Bale's Batman is in the DCU at all. I think we got our Batman for that at the moment.
I actually would not be surprised if Christian Bale's Batman is a movie in the DCEU, because it is established that James Gunn, the person, exists in the DCEU. We established that when Peacemaker throws off all the people you could have framed besides my father. So I mean, not like anything will come of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if James Gunn's like, I exist. I like those Bale movies. They exist.
Yeah.
They exist.
All right. So we'll see what happens with Peacemaker, his last 2 episodes. And that brings us to our movie of the week. We have continued our Batman rewatch throughout this, and we've said in the beginning of the episode, we don't screw around. We're not going to dodge away from things that maybe are not on par with anything else. We have Batman and Robin.
I have to
no music
right now, guys.
You want music? I can give you music if that's what you want.
We need music.
Well, we can
go. While you get
route.
the music, I'm going to say this. I talked a lot of crap last week about how I was going to come on and defend this. That it was better than Batman Forever. I cannot do that. I can't even do it as a bit. This was one of the worst things I've ever watched. I realize why I remember liking it more than Batman Forever, and so I'm going to explain myself. I've seen this movie 3 times. Once in the theater, once when I had a bad movie night and I had a whole bunch of people drinking and making fun of it.
Sorry, music.
And then this time. And I remembered enjoying it because of the alcohol and the company. And so that's why I thought, okay, better than Batman Forever at least. No, it's not. It's not. It's fucking terrible. This is awful. This is an abomination, and Joel Schumacher damn well owes me
2 apologies. Oh, it's so good.
God. Dude, even this theme fucking sucks balls. Like, this entire fucking movie sucks balls. It's incredible. Yes, I'm with Jason. As we were the ones who are really, really ripping into Batman Forever, that movie sucks. I'm not taking that back at all.
No, same here.
This, my friends, is a new level of suckdom. Yes, new word of suckdom. And I remember now why I told you I was making my list of the 10 worst movies I have ever seen in my life. And this movie was on there. And now I get reminded.
Above or below Fast and Furious?
I didn't write. See, I just was trying to get 10 names, and then I'm going to put them in order. That's the next step. Batman and Robin. Me rewatching it on Tuesday re-solidifies why it's on that list. This movie is fucking incoherent. It is.
It's incoherent.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's in Arnold. Not even Arnold can save this for me. I don't dislike many Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. The Sixth Day I despise. This is terrible, and probably Junior. And I think I can probably
Junior.
accept everything else. They're both, all three of them are horrendous and unwatchable. But this is going to be categorized as a Schwarzenegger movie because he has a fucking top billing in this movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He does. He has top billing in this movie.
He probably also has more scenes than Clooney.
Million.
Yes, he does have more scenes than Clooney. He absolutely does. And he should, because in this movie, I'll even say Schwarzenegger is better than Clooney in this movie.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You don't like Clooney's like constantly bobbing? Hey,
Yes.
hey, I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm Batman. I got the bat thing. Let's do it. Like, what is
It's
he
like Night of
doing?
the
Is he having a
Rothschild. He's just
seizure?
I
was
wish
waiting for that.
after I saw this, I wish I had McGregor syndrome and I died.
All right, so the movie opens very much like Batman Forever. It's the same type of thing, which I didn't remember, where they have the suit up scene and there's bat nipples on close up, there's
it's
bat
such a-
crotch,
And
there's
there's a
Batman.
huge S&M vibe, man. I feel like I'm watching people getting ready to go to an S&M club.
It was so weird.
I don't know. You guys focus on the crotch. All they're doing is showing the belt.
It's pretty close, my friend.
But you guys are focusing on the crotch. It's all about the utility belt.
Listen, they were trying for
zoomed
that,
in
but
on
we
the
know what
box.
they were going for.
It definitely zoomed in on the box.
No, they did.
Yeah,
Definitely zoomed in on the ass.
box.
There's no
Yes.
defending that. But look at my bad ass.
Also, weird that the men's nipples are so much more pronounced than Batgirl's nipples.
I don't think, but no, Batgirl doesn't have. She's the only one who doesn't.
They're all smushed out.
Yeah. Now, I don't know why Alfred, it's very clear in this movie and the last movie that Alfred makes the suits. So
Yes.
why did he decide to make these suits with the bat nipples again, if we're talking within the film itself?
Why not?
Well, you see, sir, I was doing some reading on the Google, and I found that bat nipples make you both more aerodynamic and a bit menacing. The criminals see the nipples and cower, sir. I don't know. That's the best I go with.
Can I ask you, can you milk a bat nipple?
I guess
Well,
so.
anything that has nipples, you can milk. I mean, that was set up.
Maybe they're gadgets we never ever got to see. Maybe if there was
Part
another
of the
one,
cutscene.
bat nipple, like missiles or something.
No, even better when he used it to cut glass. Oh, I got this, old chum.
There you
You
go.
know what?
That would have been great. Heat would have came out of him.
What if Mr. Freeze is so cold? Bat nipples.
Wow. The suit registered the heat and
The suit registered the change in temperature.
Batman, I have given you bat nipples. Yeah, well, all right, I can deal with that. Let me warm myself up.
So the first spoken lines we get of this movie, and I just wanted to comment on them because we did it last week for Batman Forever.
Oh, I have the same note, my friend.
You can't overlook this because both opening scenes for these last two movies do set the tone of insanity that we're about to get to, and these are more insane than last week. So we're getting what we were set up for, and it's like Robin goes to him, like, "I want a car." Chicks take the car, and Batman replies, "This is why Superman works alone." That's it. That's setting the tone.
And if
For
you
me,
expect
that explains the whole movie.
Yeah. And this is as good as it's going to get, gentlemen. It only is more painful after that.
Oh yeah, because then they're going in because Commissioner Gordon calls them and he whole exposition of there's a new guy calling himself Mr. Freeze that is breaking into this whole fucking thing. And
I want to ask this question before you go into this. Who is he calling himself Mr. Freeze to? Is he like, I am Mr. Freeze, come cover my crimes? Like, like the Joker didn't say, I am the Joker, and the Penguin didn't say, call me the Penguin. It's like, they called him the Penguin because he grew up with penguins. That makes sense.
Yes.
Catwoman,
It's
all right,
true,
brought back to life.
if he's
Like cats.
new, like Commissioner goes, he's a new villain, then how do you know he's Mr. Freeze?
Right,
But
that's my
he's
point.
calling himself Mr.
I
Freeze.
spent a half hour on this earlier.
Did you really?
Tim will back me up on this.
That's 29 minutes too long, Rick.
His number one rule to his announcers is do not use pronouns. You refer to the wrestlers by their names only. In this movie, the second that anybody gets introduced, they're like, "Hi, I'm Batman." This is Poison Ivy. Like, they all introduce themselves and use their names quite a bit to sell more toys.
But yeah, well, we know Warner Brothers was very worried about selling toys at this time, which is why Joel Schumacher, this whole franchise fell into his hands.
And there's an actual line from fucking Poison Ivy where she says, "I'm more of a lover, not a fighter. That's why every Poison Ivy action figure comes with one of these, and it's Bane."
Yes.
And she delivers a line exactly like that. She's like,
That was pretty
what
good.
is she going for here?
The longest commercial ever made.
It really is. And I want to point out, I don't think Bane came with the Poison Ivy action figure in that line. So fuck
that's
you,
probably
movie, for
not.
lying to us.
Uh-oh. See, I knew this was going to happen. Once Jason started yelling, "Fuck you, movie," we know the blood is boiling now. And this got to him. This definitely got to him.
Fuck
Can
you,
we-
movie.
Before we deep dive, can I give you guys a tiny list of the movies that we were also watching in 1997?
Please
Sure.
do.
Spawn,
Way better.
Titanic, Men in Black.
Oh, I love that
Superior.
movie.
It's so I think with this movie, you know what beat this movie in the box office? 2 Star Wars movies that were also re-released that year.
Re-release.
Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it.
Well,
I think it was
is it-
fun.
Movie, I
Isn't
can
it Good Will
understand
Hunting?
box office because it was up against so much. However, watching this and watching Spawn, there's a lot of differences.
There is no excuse for how ridiculously bad this movie is.
Wait,
It's
you want
not the
to know
time-
my
it's not the time that it was made.
No.
Not at all. There were great movies made that year.
you want to know my realm story about this movie? Me and Sam went to see it. I said, you know what? Let's just go fucking see this movie. Because again, I like the third one. I know you guys don't. I did. I was like, let's go see this stupid George Clooney one. So we go into the city in Lincoln Square. We're standing online, and they said, "Oh, ladies and gentlemen, there's something happened with one of the theaters. We're going to put you in the IMAX theater, and you can see on the IMAX screen." I'm like, "Fuck, dude, that's awesome. We're getting an upgrade." No.
This movie got so big that it actually upset you.
No, because it was the regular sized movie on the IMAX screen, so it looked like
Oh my God.
because it looked like you were watching it on TV. And I'm sitting there going, "This sucks, dude." I'm like, why? I don't want to watch on the IMAX screen, but it's in the middle of the IMAX screen. I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. It's like, well, look at our boxes of our faces
Yes.
in the background. That's exactly what it looked like. I'm
That's
like,
true.
this is kind of really ridiculous. I was like, this is kind of sucky. Kind of takes you out of it when you can see all the edges of the screen.
That's really, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. The first fight they get into, Batman and Robin show up to take on Mr. Freeze, and he has this hockey gang that he has that are all frozen for some weird reason.
If
Why
I
wouldn't
may
you?
add,
Yes.
I'm going to quote from this scene.
Please
The
do.
Iceman cometh. You're not sending me to the cooler. What killed the dinosaurs?
The Ice Age.
And then Robin says cowabunga. I just wanted to quote from the first 10
Wait.
minutes of this movie.
But
Can I
there's
add
more
to
though.
your-
There's everybody.
Can I add to your Kawabunga?
Please.
Last night I rewatched original Ninja Turtles. This
Yeah, I saw
are these guys not Casey Jones? Like, did Casey Jones come from this gang? They literally have his mask on.
I was going to say,
that
Bane is-
Cowabunga reference is even dated at the time this movie
Yeah.
came out. Because the movie you watched was 7-8 years old at that point.
Yeah.
So
How,
it's just
Batman
it's so-
and Ninja Turtles do have a movie versus each other, though.
shared
I know,
It
which
universe.
is
can
much
be a
better
shared
than this.
universe.
which is
And
much
Bane
better
is
than
dressed like a Ninja Turtle throughout most of this movie.
this.
When he's got like the hat and the coat on.
That's true.
That is
And
true.
and he drives.
Yeah, and he drives.
So they pretty much are fighting this fucking gang. Why, when Batman and Robin show up, they burst through walls and their logo appears through the
I
wall?
don't know. Marketing.
That's it.
Sell more
Tim,
toys.
that is an excellent reason why.
That's it.
Listen, George Clooney Batman knows how to. That's why he has a Bat credit card, because he knows how to market himself.
There you
It's
go. Now we know how
unbelievable.
he pays for his Bat drive-through.
Every wall he bursts through, we got to have that logo pop in there. All right, cool. We'll figure that out. And you forget though how over the top, I am Freeze, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Batman. How you doing, man?"
Yeah.
Like, dude, I understand. Put a little something into the voice, a little something. This is where the whole automatic thing should have been invented. Because George Clooney's like, "Hey, I'm George Clooney, man. How you doing? What's going on?" It's like, dude, do something with your voice. Put an accent on there. Anything. Just don't talk like George Clooney.
Well, that's what I've said. That this movie is literally as if George Clooney went to a Halloween party dressed up as Batman.
Yes.
There's no acting. It's literally just him like, I'm George Clooney, what's up?
Yeah, they filmed him at different parties and they edited it together.
He's like talking like that the whole movie.
Hi, Freeze, I'm Batman. Dude, something. Give me a little. This was that Wayne's World moment. I would have stopped the movie and said, "Can we get someone else?
Yeah.
Can we take him out and fucking bring in anybody? But somebody, please."
He's painful in this. But in the opening scene, though, why is Freeze stealing a big diamond where the hockey gang is playing hockey with it, and then Batman and Robin click their heels together and ice skates pop out, which they didn't know Mr. Freeze's whole thing was about ice and all this other shit. So I guess they always happen to have skates around just in case you never know. And they're playing hockey.
Detective.
I guess so.
He's assumed we're going to need the hockey skates.
Which we find out
And
later in
the
this
bat nipple
movie.
suit.
Yeah, which we find out later in this movie, he's definitely not the world's greatest detective. When he starts trying to explain the whole sun and beams around the earth and all this other insanity.
When I saw this in the theater, I had a friend when we got to that point, when he finished and it paused, my friend just screams out, "It's so crazy, it just might work." And the entire audience laughed because we were all shocked in disbelief that they were trying to sell us this shit. And when he said that, we were like, "Oh, okay, all right, we can accept this, fine." This
Oh yeah, exactly. When the entire crowd of a movie is totally tapped out on it and has just gone away, like Rick and Tim were with me when we went to see Punisher Warzone. And that scene I told you about, Jason, when a dude is doing parkour from one roof to the other and the Punisher shoots a missile and turns the guy into red sauce, we all collectively died laughing. And then after that, it was a totally different movie.
It was a free-for-all.
Yeah.
It was a free-for-all after that.
Nothing matters after that.
Oh, me and Ed, I know, Rick, I know you're a 28 Days sympathizer. And me and anti-sympathizer. Once, I would say
my card.
An hour into that movie, I was throwing shit at the screen. I was saying, "Bob, this movie sucks." Nobody argued. Nobody fought me.
So Mr. Freeze's plan at this point was to steal the diamond, fly up in a rocket ship into space, and then jump out of it, go back to where he was before originally to go steal it again. And that was the plan?
There's no plan.
The plan was brilliant.
Really?
Batman wasn't supposed to be there.
No.
So that's not part of the plan. But he was going to steal the diamond, escape in that thing, fly off while it comes back down and blows up. It's brilliant. And Batman kind of ruined that whole escape plan.
He said his plan, he explains later that his plan was to get a bunch of diamonds to freeze the city. And that was pretty much the plan.
So he could walk around without the suit on.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought his plan was to get enough diamonds to power the suit to save his wife.
Yeah, they cured McGregor syndrome or whatever.
Love, Jason.
Right.
Was that all announced by him at different
Gotham
points?
for ransom.
Yes.
And then with that money, cure his wife.
Yes, that was actually his original plan. But as we realized throughout the film, the plan keeps changing left and right. But then we also get Batman and Robin escaping from that and jumping on the doors of the spaceship, and that's how the Cowabunga scene comes in, defying all gravity. And
X Games was hot at that time.
That's hot.
They're like, we got to have skiing, we got to have snowboarding, we got to have ice skating, we got to have all this stuff because the X Games are huge at that moment.
Yeah.
And Robin's motorcycle.
Marketing. That's it. Marketing. This whole movie is marketing.
And then I guess that brings us to the introduction of Poison Ivy. but we find out there's a doctor who is working on, he calls it, quote, super soldier serum plus toxins plus steroids equals venom. And they pump it into some random dude who was a killer, who's like really tiny and skinny, and he blows up, and he's the bane of humanity. I'm trying to understand what's the worst crime of this film. What they've done to our heroes, what they did to Mr. Freeze, Ivy, or what the fuck did they... This is Bane?
So this movie, what they did to Bane is quite possibly worse than what Wolverine Origins did to Deadpool.
That's fair.
And both are infinitely worse than, not infinitely, but just on par with what they did to Venom in the third Batman movie. I mean, Spider-Man movie. You know what? To kind of like, but let me get you where it got me.
Okay.
I was looking at, they ruined Bane, and then they ruined Venom. And then Tom Hardy came back to rescue both characters. Like, how brilliant is that? That this Englishman were to come to our country and save our comic book industry. One villain at a time.
I'm saying Bane from this.
I wouldn't say he saved anything. Because Venom is not good, and I don't like fucking Bane in Dark Knight anyway. So I wouldn't say he saved anything.
But I will back Rick on this though, because whatever you think, Tim, I know you don't like The Dark Knight Rises, but if you're giving me this Bane versus Tom Hardy Bane, I'm going with Tom Hardy's Bane to win Best Actor of the Year that year, compared to whatever the fuck this was. I mean, Bane!
You know how you fix
business?
Yeah, you fix Tom Hardy's Bane though. You fix Tom Hardy's Bane with one simple thing: Venom. That's all I wanted. I wanted to show that he was on something or doing something to make him as powerful as he was. In other words, he was just a regular dude who could beat up Batman like he was nothing.
Well, Tim, I'm gonna table that for 3 weeks from now.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine.
You're more than happy to. I would love to have you.
That's a great conversation.
No, it is.
Their Joker also didn't fall into a vat of chemicals,
which I'm absolutely fine with.
I'm fine with.
I am absolutely fine with that. But again, we will save that for when we get to those movies. This fucking Jason, what do you think was the worst crime? What Joel Schumacher did to Batman and Robin, to Freeze, to Bane, or to Poison Ivy?
God, this is like all of the above.
Well, I know you love Mr. Freeze though. That's why.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
I mean, here's the thing. All right, so I'm gonna discount saying what he did to Batman was the worst, because I can at least ignore this piece of garbage and watch better Batman movies. I can ignore what he did to Robin only because I get Nightwing and Teen Titans now, so I can ignore this piece of garbage and get that. So, and I don't really like Bane, so I don't really care about his character. So it really comes down to Ivy and Freeze, and that might be a two-way tie, because I do love Mr. Freeze, but I also do love Poison Ivy. And I mean, I guess I would have to say that it would have to be Mr. Freeze, because I actually do get good Poison Ivy stuff recently in the Batwoman show, which I actually do like live action, which means I have never gotten a really good live action Mr. Freeze. So that has to be the worst offender, because this is all I got. If I want to watch Mr. Freeze, I have 3 choices: this, Batman 66, or the 2 episodes of freaking animated series he was in, and 2 episodes isn't a lot.
Yeah, it's just the only things we get of Bane, and I wasn't really expecting to start with Bane, but it's just they make him this mindless oaf that is transformed back and forth to like this little skinny killer. So he's in no way, shape, or form besides a human being getting venom. And he's just screaming words at sometimes and driving Poison Ivy around, and just randomly pops in and out of the movie whenever they need him to. I mean, it's pretty brutal. This whole thing of Bane is pretty bad. I think it might be the worst offense of anything that we've gotten in these movies. In this movie,
he looks like a puppet.
Yes.
Like someone blew like a puppet. Like that guy, it looks like a puppet.
Yeah.
Is
this Bane worse than the Harvey Dent we just had a week ago?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, Jason. Jason, I know you're not a Bane guy, but think about this.
He had a lot of lines that were.
No, they were, but this movie came out not, if I remember correctly, not too far of when Nightfall was happening. Nightfall is when Bruce Wayne
breaks his back. Yeah.
Bane breaks his back, and I don't recall off the top of my head what year that came out, but like that, I think this is them jumping on the popularity of that, and someone from DC was probably like, "Dude, put Bane in the fucking movie. Like, it's gonna work." Bane is not portrayed like this by any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all.
In here. So
worst part is they could have just gotten rid of the evil doctor and just had Bane do that to himself. He's a genius in the comic books.
Yeah, he's not a character in this movie. He's something.
He's a henchman. He's Frankenstein's monster from the movie with a luchador mask as Poison Ivy's henchman. That's what this is.
And
that's not Bane.
Yeah, it's not Bane in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So then I guess since we usually do characters, then let's talk about Mr. Freeze. And this is something I think Jason's probably going to snap with because I know he loves Mr. Freeze. But so we get Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously incredibly miscast as Mr. Freeze.
Incredibly miscast. And I remember when this came out, and I don't know if this was real or if this was like, garbage rumors that I read in the back of a Nintendo Power because they used to publish those all the time. But I remember having in my head that Patrick Stewart was in talks to play Mr. Freeze.
Yes, he was.
And guys, that's it. What the fuck were we doing with this? That's your Mr. Freeze. He would have been a brilliant Mr. Freeze. I mean, not in this movie because nothing was good in this movie. Yeah. But like Arnold Schwarzenegger being cast as Mr. Freeze, he's so wrong for the role. At no point do I believe this guy was ever a good guy. Like ever at any point in the movie. And then we have these inexplicable moments where he's making his gang sing Heat Miser, Cold Miser.
So weird.
Come on, sing.
Sing. Come on, sing.
Sing. Why is that? What's going on there?
How many times did you ask yourself that question during this movie?
Oh, like every 5
What's
minutes.
going on here?
Can I say one thing about that scene?
Yeah, go.
I think one of the greatest Halloween costumes ever would be the fucking froze robe with the big slippers.
Yes,
yes, I agree.
I'm gonna say I love that look. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. I dug his cozy in a freezer big slipper look, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Why were those guys holding frozen TV dinners while they were singing?
Because anything that has to do with ice was thrown in. It doesn't matter. There's no logic behind that. Yeah, I saw them. They were like shivering, trying to eat it.
Trying to eat a frozen pizza. Yes.
God, everything has to be frozen.
So I don't hate this freeze. Again, did some homework on Mr. Freeze because the number one thing while watching this movie, I had to find other things to distract me. So while watching this, I ended up watching about 20 minutes of Bronson because the whole Tom Hardy playing Bane in the future. But
you were watching two screens with two different things at the same time?
Yes, that was how I was able to make it through this movie.
I gotta try that.
I gotta be honest, that's very talented.
Yeah.
But I also came across Mr. Freeze wasn't always Mr. Freeze. He used to be something like Captain Zero when he was first introduced. And for proof of it, I printed this out. Does anybody want to read that?
That will stop you cold, officers.
The puns are legit. For anyone that wants to trash the puns that Mr. Freeze was giving in this movie, Captain Zero gave a ton of puns that whole comic book that he was in. So I think that this was like an amalgamation of animated Freeze. It looked like animated Freeze with this guy's puns.
So I'm about to piss Jason off, though, in a second, because from what I had read, now, again, doing some more research on this, I did watch the movie on Tuesday. So apparently this Mr. Freeze for this film was to be based on Batman the Animated Series as Mr. Freeze, because that came out, Sub-Zero came out at the same time. That's the inspiration for this. That was what you were going to say?
That was my point, is and you know what? You know who's even more egregious than Mr. Freeze with his puns and all that shit? The Mr. Freeze Otto Preminger from the 1966 Batman. But you know what? You know what didn't happen in 1966 Batman? They didn't try to give him a fucking tragic backstory that was beautifully crafted by the animated series. And that's my problem with this Freeze. Look, if you want to give me crazy Otto Preminger living in a freaking, a freezer, fine. But don't give me the whole backstory of the animated series and promise the animated series, because that Mr. Freeze is brilliant and beautiful and literally a tragic freaking villain. This is garbage. It's a Puma.
Don't forget, Arnold can't be a bad guy at this time. So they had to make him a bad guy who's actually a good guy doing bad things for a good reason, who turns out to be good at the end.
But he doesn't, though. How does he turn into, like, I know, I get what you're saying, like, that they thought he did. But the end of this movie is he is locked up with an obviously crazy Pamela Isley / Poison Ivy as her new cellmate to make her life hell. He's going to spend the rest of his time in Arkham trying to cure McGregor syndrome and making Poison Ivy's life hell. How the fuck does that make him a good guy? He's not a good guy.
Wait. He's a good guy in the sense that Anakin Skywalker went to Jedi heaven.
Okay. Well, he's gonna do his.
He did give them the cure to, like, it wasn't it Robin that he froze, and he was like, "Here, just give him this. Call me."
No. Of course, no. It's Alfred, because we find out almost in the third act of the film that Alfred has McGregor syndrome, and yes, of course, we get the line after he's caught: take these two, and call me in the morning. And I'm like, you knew that was coming. At this point in the movie, you watched this. The second he went and. So Mr. Freeze walks around with 2 bottles of the cure of stage 1 McGregor syndrome at all times in his suit, just in case the offhand he runs into somebody who might need it.
Why not?
Why not? Well,
that's my answer for everything in this movie.
You're right, and you're not wrong, though. You're not wrong at all.
Maybe the reason that the world's greatest detective went after Mr. Freeze is because he knew that he always carried those around, and his butler was dying from McGregor syndrome.
You know something?
He was detecting.
You know something, Rick? You're right.
No, but all Mr. Freeze is, like, I'm not saying he's a good guy. What I'm saying is he's basically a mob witness. He did bad things. He's gonna do his time, but eventually he's just gonna be let go and be back to normal again. Especially if he cures this disease. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Arnold can't be conceived as a bad guy at this time in his career in 1997 or whatever it is. But and again, and he knows I hate good guys, bad guys who are really good guys who turn out to be good guys. But I just like a good straight up bad guy. You know what I mean? Dr. Octopus.
Even the Terminator turned into a good guy.
Yeah.
But like, also, then don't horribly miscast the role as Arnold. Give us someone who can actually be a bad guy.
Yeah, give me a bad guy.
If you want to make them like at the end where, okay, I understand why they did what they did, fine. But give me actually someone who could be a bad guy and a story. And they gave us neither of those.
Well, Jason, I think the thing is that that's the thing. They kept the animated series, Mr. Freeze, his backstory intact. Yeah. And his motivations intact. But then we just get it in the background of complete insanity that goes on throughout this entire movie, where things get frozen and suddenly they turn into glass and they shatter constantly throughout the whole movie.
Oh, except at the end when the whole city turns to ice and then it's just reversed and everyone's fine. Because there was this one time that I was hiking in the Andes and it was cold and I froze to death, but then someone actually warmed me up and I just came back to life, guys. It was fucking weird.
It's weird.
So the other thing that's tied into Mr. Freeze then is that he's actually when he's telling them to sing and they're watching they're watching the movies, the home movies of him and his wife. So Victor Freeze had somebody going around filming random moments of him and his wife just doing anything.
Wasn't that his wedding video? Wasn't his wedding video?
No, it was just anything. Anything that they were doing.
I don't remember that part.
Just like later on, Batman shows Mr. Freeze part of the movie. It was almost like Spaceballs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really, you think I killed your wife? Well, take a look at this.
And by the way, they also
that was then.
Yeah.
When will then be now?
And they lie constantly. Like Ivy's like, I told her. This is a one-woman show. You never said that. That line is never spoken actually at any point in the movie. But you said you did it. Like, what is going on?
Since we're talking about Ivy, can we talk about how weirdly horny Ivy is for, like, what is her motivation? Like, so she becomes Ivy and she decides to go and destroy Bruce Wayne because the Wayne Foundation supplied the flasks to the lab that she worked at.
Yes.
And then
they cut the funding to the lab.
Right, but she hated, but like they cut the funding, but like she was okay with that. It was the crazy doctor who created the Venom, who, by the way, John Glover, you know what his connection to a real Batman franchise is he's the voice of the Joker in the animated series.
Ooh.
The guy who played the crazy doctor who creates the Bane, that's the Joker in the animated series.
Nice.
Hold on, in which the animated series though? Like,
the animated series. Batman the animated series from the 90s.
Hamill.
That guy.
It's Mark Hamill, isn't it?
Oh, what did I say? The Joker. I'm sorry. I meant the Riddler. My bad. I'm sorry.
I was like, wait a second, what?
My bad. I thought the Riddler and I said the Joker, but no,
fine.
he's the Riddler. So he does the Riddler in his couple of episodes. So he actually had done Batman stuff before.
Well, he was also the dad in Shazam, and he was also Tim. He was also Lex Luthor's father in Smallville.
Yep.
He's also the Donald Trump character in Gremlins 2.
I was thinking the same thing.
But he's all over this shit.
Which is my favorite role of his, by the way.
Mine too. I love that movie and I love him in it.
So I'm sorry, you were saying, so with Poison Ivy, by the way, she gets invited to this Wayne Foundation thing where Batman and Robin are going to be, where Bruce randomly goes ahead and pulls out a massive envelope, like about the size of the screen that we're working on right now. Can you just walking around with that all day just in case he had to invite somebody?
Of course. Why not?
And so, like, my whole thing with her is, like, she decides that she's going to team up with Mr. Freeze. She springs him from Arkham, saving him from the clutches of, wait for it, Jesse Ventura.
Jesse the Body Ventura has a fucking cameo in this movie.
This man is in 2 scenes of this movie. That's insane to me.
Yes. Not what was it? Tim, help me out here. Was it Captain in Running
Freedom.
Man? Captain Freedom in Running Man.
Oh.
There's one of the links with him and Arnold. He was also in Predator.
Oh, true that.
Yeah.
Well, they're friends, right?
Yeah. I'm sure they're.
Yeah, wherever Arnold went in that late '90s, Jesse Ventura followed.
Hey Arnold, it's me, Jesse Ventura. Can you get me a role in your new Batman movie?
They were both governors at some point too.
That's true. They were, yeah.
Yeah, Arnold went in, and Jesse was like, "All right, I should do this too."
So Ivy breaks in. Ivy tells Jesse Ventura and his partner that she's Mr. Freeze's sister, and they believe it. And they haven't been like, bewitched yet, because she does that in front of us. She comes in full Poison Ivy regalia.
Yep.
Like, I don't care if I know who you are. If you show up anywhere I am dressed like that, I know you're a supervillain. That's it. There's only one thing you could be doing dressed as that. And she's like, I'm your sister. And then, like, she's like, come here, kiss me, Jesse Ventura. And then, like, goes through this whole thing. And Furious is like, okay, go save my wife. I'm going to go get the diamonds. We're going to wreck some shit. We're going to kill the bat and the bird, which he says like 20 times. And then she just kills his wife. Because, I don't know, she wants to fuck him. I don't get it. Like, why does she kill his wife?
Well, Jason, don't forget, too. Apparently, she randomly wants to get with Mr. Freeze. She also goes to that auction that she gets the big envelope for and shows up where her and Bane are dressed up as big gorillas and reveal themselves.
That's right, I forgot about
I love that scene.
There's an entire thing where they're auctioning her off, and she's like, and everyone's down and outbidding themselves, and it gets really wild. And she ends up, that's when she blows the toxin into Batman and Robin's face, and then they're bidding on her. And she's enticing them and kind of like flirting with them to get them to keep going. And that's when he pulls out the Bat credit card.
Yes, because they keep trying to outbid each other. And Robin goes, $5 million. He's like, you don't have the money. I got it.
Yes.
Well, how about when Robin
which says
that's a
forever on
utility
it.
belt, not a money belt.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
Yes, it does say Batman Forever on it. So he has a Batman Forever credit card.
So it's like, which movie's better? Batman Forever. He pulled out the card and she said, Batman Forever was better.
So that tells me, too, that George Clooney Batman is going around the city paying for things with this credit card?
Yep. Yeah.
Is it made out to Batman?
We know he goes to the drive-thru all the time. He's got to have some kind of card to pay.
He goes through the drive-thru and pulls out the Bat credit card.
Yep.
That's astonishing, actually.
Where's my fries? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's George Clooney. Where's my fries?
Yeah.
So wow. you think Christian Bale right? Give me my fries, and it's like, oh no, George Clooney's sorry.
But before we're off of Ivy, did anyone else notice that she invented Audrey too, and that was part of her plan?
Yeah.
yes, you're right.
Yes.
I was like, she's gonna turn the world into Mario World. And
I don't know if you remember at one point in time. Again, I always look for the one thing about these movies that will make it a better movie. And I picked her. But then after a couple of rewatches, you're like, no. This is more like, again, this is like Schumacher saying, listen, the only way this movie's going to work is if you out Jim Carrey in the last one. And they all were like, yeah, we're on board. I'm going to out Jim Carrey. And you can't out Jim Carrey. So she just went 1940s whore all over this role. And it's just like terrible.
It was, she does. She looks like someone, you know how when you watch an old timey movie that isn't that good, and it's like the way they act, it's obviously they're acting like, hey, you, we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Why don't you come and see me sometime, big boy? Right. It's like exactly what it was.
Like, if I have to give someone the Academy Award for Best Acting in this movie, it has to be Arnold, just because he's at least just being Arnold. He's not overacting. He's just being Arnold.
He's just reading the horrible script. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, well, what I did
everybody freeze. I'm about to sign my paycheck.
Well, when they saw they couldn't get Patrick Stewart, and there was actually someone else they were trying to get, they just rewrote his entire role for Arnold, and that was it. Pretty much when they just slaughtered it with like one-liners, and that's pretty much 95% of his dialogue in this entire film.
But the worst part is, though, I thought this movie had a ton of ice puns. It doesn't. He just delivers every line like it's an ice pun.
Yeah.
Like, he literally is just like, I'm going to kill the Batman. It's like, why are you delivering like that? Like, there's a punchline. Like, he does that so many times with so many lines. Like, I literally clocked maybe 10 ice puns, and then about 3 lines, and I'm like, is that a pun? Because I can't tell. It's a play on words with ice, but it's not funny.
No, a lot of it's not funny.
My favorite part of this whole movie is when he freezes a wall and then he wipes it so he can wave.
Yes, that's the beginning when he gets waving him.
That wave, I swear to God, I laugh every time it's on. Because it's just so random and so stupid. But Arnold looks like a little 5-year-old boy just happy to be in a movie going, and he leaves. I was like, thank you. I'll watch it from there. I'll shut it off. That's it. That's my whole movie right there.
He was thanking everybody for the money.
Yeah. 25 million.
The money.
So speaking of Ivy, though, there is a point where Robin asks her, is your thumb the only part of you that's green?
Oh, God, yes. You're going to have to find out, sweetheart.
Yeah,
she says it's a jungle down there at some point.
Yeah, she does.
Yes,
and I got that.
Yeah,
she didn't get that one past me.
No.
Let's just say that Poison Ivy doesn't shave anywhere, gentlemen.
Oh, their puns back and forth are just completely insane. And there's a point where Clooney, Batman, whatever. I'm just going to refer to him as Clooney, same thing. He goes to Howard and tells him, she wants to kill you, dick. Like, the way he delivers it, you can tell what he meant, and was just trying to squeeze that in there so he can get away with it. I thought that was actually kind of funny, though.
Because, you're right, because he goes, she's trying to kill you, dick.
Yeah. There's definitely a long pause there.
I clocked that same line. I'm like, wait a minute, you just want to call him a dick.
Yeah. So then I guess we can talk about Batman and Robin. We'll talk about Batman then. So this is, remember, continuation of Michael Keaton Batman. This is supposed to be the same dude. Just understand that. That's supposed to be the same guy. He has virtually nothing to do here. they give him this weird side story with a girlfriend,
Elle McPherson.
Elle McPherson, who is really bad.
Yeah.
She's really bad, and
But
the two things she's in.
But I'm going to say this. I will not allow us to shit on Elle McPherson because she wasn't an actress. She was a model who was conscripted in this movie, and there were a lot of actors and actresses who do shittier jobs in this movie than she did.
Her lines were cut in half after they started filming. And they
Is that
realized
true?
how bad an actress. Yes.
No,
When they realized how bad an actress she was, they minimized her big time.
So Batman like literally is kind of like kicked to the curb for a lot of this movie, like more than any of the other ones that we may have complained about. Because I know when we talked about Batman Returns, we complained that he returns for a little bit, but not really as much. This is the one he's in the least. Dude, at the end of the movie, by the way, when they're about to fight Freeze in the third act, they literally show up in different gear, different Batman suit, and different Robin suit, and different Batgirl suit, black and silver, completely out of nowhere with these vehicles. So they were about to go after them. Did they go back to the Batcave to change and then came all the way back to do this?
Yeah, get their freeze gear. Freeze gear.
Yes.
Sell more toys.
Exactly.
Sell more toys.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to go through my notes. There are so many of them because of how much insanity there was here. This is definitely the worst on-screen Batman we've gotten.
100%. 100%.
By far.
Yeah.
I was saying last week that Kilmer was bad, and Kilmer was bad, but
not like this.
He wasn't this. You know what I mean? Like, he was at least trying to act.
Yeah. I was trying to make sense of it. And I was like, yeah, we had Keaton. That was before he was overcome by the bat when we had Kilmer. And this is Batman just trying to act like a normal human being as Bruce Wayne again. Then I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is terrible. I had to crumble up my own thoughts and throw them away. Because I was trying to make excuses for a terrible movie.
There's no excuse for that.
They do these random flashes of him falling as a child in a hallway and Alfred helping him up at one point where it looks like it barely hurt when he fell. And they don't go anywhere though. They're just random flashbacks that lead to nothing.
Well, they want to show that Alfred's dying. It's going to upset Bruce if Alfred dies. Because first of all, that's the guy who raised them, and second of all, apparently no one can build a batsuit.
By the way,
than Alfred. So what happens to Batman if Alfred dies?
I want to point out
he packages it up on a CD and sends it to his brother. Apparently,
that's right.
Which leads into what I was going to say, because this will give us a good segue to talk about Alicia Silverstone.
Uh-huh.
Batman and Alfred are so close that Batman had no idea that Alfred had this fucking niece that he has been, giving all of his money to for, what is she, 18, 19 years? How does Batman not know about this? How does Bruce Wayne, I think this is the most egregious thing, is how much they mar the relationship between Alfred and Bruce Wayne, because it's the one thing I love. It's that I always love about the Batman story is his father-son relationship. Alfred is the adopted father. Alfred really loves him. There are no secrets between them, right? Alfred knows he's the Batman. He knows about Alfred's checkered past in the military, which sometimes it's checkered, sometimes it's not, but whatever. But how the hell are you going to tell me that Alfred has this whole other family and life in England that he goes back to sometimes enough where Alicia Silverstone knows who he is and Bruce Wayne has no idea? Get out of here.
And he has an English daughter with no English accent? Or
I actually,
no English accent?
One of my notes was, is she supposed to be English?
Yeah, that was it. You know what, though? We saw the same thing in one of the greatest franchises of all time. Fast and the Furious, when we find out that Vin Diesel, who's all about the family, has a brother that we haven't met in 8 movies or heard of.
Yes,
John Cena.
It's very convenient when they pull those things out.
I'm pretty sure none of you have ever seen that movie, but John Cena.
No, Tim. I'm sure Tim has. No, Tim's definitely seen it.
In all fairness, though, John Cena was there the whole time. We just couldn't see him.
Ooh.
And that was me making the wrestling reference, guys. I'm the one who wasn't watching.
Well done. So if we talk about Batgirl in this movie, she's Barbara Pennyworth and not Barbara Gordon. And Alfred randomly made her a suit because he had the offhand feeling that she might show up one day and decide to join in the fight.
All right,
I know you're a real nosy bitch, so I made you a suit.
She is the worst person in this movie, by the way. I want to say this. Not Alicia Silverstone. I love Alicia Silverstone. I want to say this. I know there was a lot of talk. Oh, she was too fat in the costume. Fuck you if you think that. She's gorgeous in this. I have nothing.
I didn't think that at all. Actually,
right?
That's true.
But that's the thing. There was a lot of like,
no, I know,
a lot of controversy.
That was the thing at the time.
Yeah. But like, she's gorgeous. She's Alicia Silverstone in the fucking 90s. Deal with it, right? But she is Batgirl is the worst person in this movie because Alfred, her beloved uncle, is like, I'm dying of McGregor syndrome, madam. Take this, give it to my brother Morty or whatever his name is. Don't open it under any circumstances. Anyone can look at this but you. I can only trust family, but not you. And literally the next scene she goes, well, if you can only trust family, that means me. It's like, he told you 6 different times, don't open this goddamn thing. It was literally his dying wish. And you went against it? No, you're the worst person in this movie.
And he knew she'd go against it.
Yep.
Yes, very conveniently knew that because he put a fucking AI on this CD and the Batcave that talks to her, which, by the way, Alfred has the opening part of his presentation to this on his CD as the opening credits of the movie, which is our background today.
Oh, wow, okay.
It opens with the opening credits.
You're right.
That is incredible that the characters in this movie have access to the movie itself and use it in the plot of the movie.
Like, why not just have that moment where he goes, your family, I want to give this to you. Don't open it until I'm dead. And then she goes, well, I can't wait. I have to see what it is. Okay, fine. Because then it makes sense why he set that up, right? He wants her to go
use reverse psychology. She's a badass.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
Oh man,
she is the pig-headed one, not Bruce Wayne.
And then when she joins them at the end, where she shows up, and it's like, whoa, I got to the Batcave. It's me, guys. I'm Batwoman now. I'm Batgirl. I got to the Batcave. And of course, there's Batgirl, huh? Well, that's not PC. Couldn't you be Batperson or Batwoman or something? Yes. And then she's like, "Oh, just deal with it. I'm in the gang now." And Robin and Batman look at each other, and Robin's like, "We got to change the lock on the Batcave." It's like, the fuck is going on here? What was I watching?
Yes, we know how dangerous this is. This Bruce Wayne didn't even want to trust Robin, and that theme line goes throughout this entire movie. But then she shows up in 2 seconds, like, "Nah, it's okay. Let's go. Fight with us."
Yep.
Now he's got 2 in case he loses 1.
Very true.
I will call you Robin. I will call you backup plan.
Robin number 2.
So, and how easily she defeats Poison Ivy and shows up and just kind of kicks her ass and knocks into her plant.
That's into Audrey too. As Rick said.
Yeah. Just that's astonishing how fast and easy that happens.
Well, we missed the cutscene where the plant wakes up and goes, "Batgirl, feed me, Batgirl."
So now I guess that takes us to Robin, who essentially wants to bang everyone in this movie because the second he sees Barbara show up to the house, he's ready to go. He's down. Then he's chasing Ivy the rest of the movie.
He's a 30-year-old virgin in this one.
That is true. You're right, because we know he can't possibly be like 18 years old. That's how they talk about him.
No,
I love the moment where Batman is trying to convince him that I'm on your side. He's like, we fought. We weren't just partners. We were family. Come on. Just one last time, be my brother. Because that's about the only thing that would work. Because, Batman's like Robin's father figure, but there's no fucking way 40-year-old George Clooney is 30-year-old O'Donnell's father. Get out of here.
Robin is really useless in this movie, man. He is incredibly useless. And that Robin logo in this movie, which is being blocked right now because it goes over the Batman logo, what the hell is that? It's supposed to be some weird Robin. It's like red thin line that just goes somewhere.
It's like a steering wheel, like a bad steering wheel in a race car, in an Indy car or something like that.
It's so bizarre. There's so many weird choices in this movie. I'm really trying to go through all of them. This then is it. Oh, by the way, just randomly, there's also a scene where Ivy and Bane go to attack the bat signal for no reason. Because what is it doing? Do they think if they destroy the bat signal, then there's no more Batman?
That's it.
I actually
They can't call him, so that's it. They'll just stay home.
That's how the bad guys win.
I do have to defend this moment, and I can't
Really?
believe I'm doing this, but they steal the bat signal so they can set up the Robin signal. Like that's how they get the big.
Right, because she promises that to him or some dumb
Yeah.
shit.
So look, it's not good, but
No.
within the narrative that they've set up, it is probably one of the few things that makes sense.
He's like, oh, that's a Robin signal in the sky. He's like, Dick, you know she's just trying to get you in there to, it's not. Oh my God. All I see is bobbleheads moving back and forth.
That's what it looks like. I'm watching this movie like, what is going on? Why is he like? I've seen a lot of George Clooney movies. He doesn't do that in other movies. Nice.
Maybe that's Schumacher direction. George, your head not bobbling enough for Batman. Oh, okay.
All right. George, have you ever seen a bobblehead? No, they haven't been invented yet. Okay, so imagine your head's on a spring, and I do this, and that's your Batman. Just do it, George. Do it. No, but I don't really do it, George.
So we also get a Coolio cameo in this movie, by the way.
Yes,
running like
we
this
do.
neon bike racing ring that goes on that Barbara and Dick decide to take place in, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it comes completely out of left field.
I like too how Dick is mad at Barbara for doing exactly what he did in the third one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're just a dick. You were the same Dick a movie ago, Dick. So don't be a dick.
Dick.
I think she's better than you too, as far as racing.
And there's also another return of another neon gang that Poison Ivy and Bane decide to break into a Turkish bathhouse, and in there is a different neon gang that's there, and they kick them out of there to drop a couple of things to make her own like villain hideaway.
This was a perfect
They didn't bring
opportunity.
them into their gang.
They should have. That should have been like, join the gang. We need a gang. Let's go.
Yeah.
Or maybe instead of even saying, hey, join a gang, she goes, hey, I'm Poison Ivy. I have plants that can take over your mind. You're part of the gang now. Like, I don't know, maybe do something cool with this piece of garbage movie?
No, they don't need to do that.
This would have been a perfect opportunity to bring in the hi-hats from the Warriors. The mime.
I do want to call out my favorite gang. My literal favorite gang. It is the one thing that made me go, I like this. It literally is a gang of people dressed like the Droogs from A Clockwork Orange.
I knew you were going to point them out.
Yes.
I knew you were going to point them out.
And like that's one of my favorite books. I've taught that book a ton of times in high school. I can't get away with it anymore because
Yes, there's a lot of bad things.
But I used to teach it. I think it's a brilliant but painful movie to watch. But they literally are all like in white with the dirt, with the bowlers and the eye and the cod piece. And I was like, am I getting an actual Clockwork Orange reference in this movie?
Did anybody spot the scene where Robin is fighting Poison Ivy? Besides, he takes off the fake lips so he can't get poisoned by her with the kiss. He falls into the water with the vines, and it's like, oh, I'm trying to get out. Then it's like, no, rewind. And he tries to get out again.
It was such an obvious rewind.
What the fuck was that about?
They were out of money.
Did someone challenge the call and they had to go and do instant replay and rewind it and see if
That's
it
what it
actually...
So bringing in Tim Burton, if you guys remember the movie Ed Wood, there's a scene where Ed Wood is directing Bela Lugosi fighting a huge like kraken, like an octopus, and they steal the large thing, but they don't steal the motor. So it's literally just a limp thing. And he's like, I don't know, Bella, just splash around like it's attacking you, move it around. That's what this was. This was their homage to Tim Burton. It was reversing the scene and like giving a homage to Ed Wood and Tim Burton in this one movie.
I'll take it. Fine. I just need any logic to try to make any sense out of anything.
How good would this movie have been if Tim Burton and Michael Keaton came back and they had Patrick Stewart as Mr. Freeze, and he was the only villain, and they did his whole wife storyline?
It would have been fantastic.
You would have had to fire Joel Schumacher still, though, because as long as he's involved, he would have flushed it in the toilet.
No,
Rick said
he's
Tim
not
Burton.
there.
Oh, Tim Burton. Okay, sorry. Yeah, no, that would have been great. Did you
come back, you save the franchise, and then wrap it up?
Did you realize though that this was Joel Schumacher and Warner Brothers had the audacity while this was in production to temporarily greenlight a 5th movie called Batman Unchained?
Yes.
Where the villain was supposed to be Scarecrow, which might have been played by Coolio, by the way. I don't know how they would have done that. Yes, he was up for that. Yes. And the idea was Scarecrow was going to, have Batman hallucinating shit, and part of it was going to be the return of Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Yeah.
Oh, I did hear about that. Wasn't Harley Quinn supposed to make an appearance or something?
Harley Quinn was going to be introduced as well.
I do.
Somebody good was supposed to play her too. They already casted it. I'm not going to remember, but they casted the role, and it was somebody good.
No, I'm not saying Jack Nicholson.
Madonna was going to play Harley Quinn.
That's it,
she was finally going to get into the franchise. So I'm not saying that Jack Nicholson. There's anywhere I've read that Jack Nicholson said he was going to. This is just what was being written.
For sure, it would have been a clip from the first movie, like, where does he get these wonderful toys?
No. Schumacher was all about him coming back to the franchise and reprising the role.
Oh, that would have been terrible.
Yes, it would have. Now, until the box office and this thing flopped and fell on its face, which is where they ended that and decided to shit can the series until Christopher Nolan saved it later on, and we'll talk about that next week. But that movie sounds really bad. And this is the worst. I'll say it now. I know when we wrap up Batman, in a couple of weeks, we're going to do our rankings. Spoiler alert, this is dead last.
Yeah.
This movie was so bad. It didn't only end that. It also, from what I was reading, Nick Cage's Superman got canned because of this movie also. Good or bad? I would pay $100 right now to stream a Nicolas Cage Superman movie from 1999 on my television.
Oh,
Rick, good or bad, just to see what it would have looked like with Nick Cage playing Clark Kent.
Rick, did you ever watch the documentary about that?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's fantastic.
It's really, really. Tim, I know Tim's watched it. Jason, if you haven't,
can I use
I haven't seen it yet.
Highly recommend it. It's it was on Showtime for a while, but it's a really well done documentary. They actually get Kevin Smith to talk about it. Tim Burton is in it. They actually get Nicolas Cage. Right. Like they get there's also screen tests of Nicolas Cage in the suit.
Right, that's my understanding. Yes. Right, I've never
Giant
seen
Spider.
Giant Spider. Giant Spider's in there. Yeah, what's it called? The story of the worst movie? I don't know. It has a long ass title.
Yeah, on purpose because it's pretty funny that it's there. It's pretty much all about the making and what the heck happened to Superman Returns. That's essentially Superman Lives.
Superman Lives.
I know Superman Returns was potentially the title at one point or whatever, but yeah.
Superman Reborn too was the other one.
Yeah, it went through a bunch of them. And I know Tim has heard the story because Kevin Smith tells this story apparently a lot when he does his shows and stuff like that. But you guys should definitely check that out. Or anyone interested in the Nicolas Cage Superman thing, it does have a long title where it was.
Oh, it's called the death of Superman lived. What happened? ?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really, really well done. But I'm sure it's on one of the streamers at this point. I watched it on Showtime, though. It wasn't last year. I think it was like the year before that. But, yeah, Nicolas Cage Superman might as well have showed up in Batman and Robin at this point and just kind of went with it. He would have fit in perfectly. So, we had any other notes on Batman and Robin before we wrap this up?
Let's see.
Thank God, no.
All right. So I want to say that Alfred should have died at the end of this movie.
Yes.
Not that I don't like Alfred. I actually think he's the only actor in this movie who's doing anything. Alfred Go, whatever his name is, Gao or whatever. I like him a lot as Alfred, but
what are you doing?
They should have just killed him in this movie. Put him out of his misery. Make sure that he could never do one of these terrible ones again.
Shouldn't have bad.
I think that Commissioner Gordon purposely looks like Chief O'Hara from the Batman 66 series.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible, terrible choice. And then I just got one more thing to say. If revenge is a dish best served cold, put on your Sunday finest. It's going to be a feast. Which I don't know if that was a pun or a joke. I just know it's an Arnold line that I wrote down.
Everybody, chill. Chill. Chill.
Free
Chill.
hell, Batman.
Oh man, that was. And I love Arnold, but boy, that was really something special to see here.
Tonight, hell will
The
freeze
good
over.
thing about this movie is, like any alcoholic or drug addict, the Batman hit rock bottom.
Yes.
And he came back a better person because of it.
You're one
You know?
of Rick. That is actually a beautiful way to put it because it's
That is
true.
great. Yeah, that is all. That's wonderful.
All right, so thanks for joining us today, and that's pretty much does it for Batman and Robin. Following up what Rick just said, next week we'll be starting the Dark Knight trilogy. Finally, so after we paid our dues and watched Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, now we get to go back to excellent Batman. So we'll be talking about Batman Begins next week, along with the 7th episode of Peacemaker, and we might throw something else in because CW, all 4 shows are on hiatus right now. So
Yeah.
Jason will talk about it. We'll promote it next week, and we'll see where it goes. Rick, Tim, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Appreciate it as always. What's up, dude?
Why don't you guys make a poll on Facebook for what people whatever people would like to have us cover? Give them a couple of options and let people pick something, because I'm definitely joining you for the Nolan trilogy. I didn't get invited, however, I will be hacking into that. I will call my friends in Russia that help me with my martial arts streaming, and I will have them hack me into that.
Rick, you're number one. You're always invited.
I was
And
gonna
number two, you have been through Batman Forever and Batman and Robin with us. The least we can do is invite you back for Batman Begins.
Right.
At the very
I mean,
least.
like, these fucking guys invite me for these 2 movies, then they're covering Nolan.
Yeah, no. It's like, no,
Actually,
Rick.
I said to Ed, I was like, look, you can invite Rick for those 2 crappy movies because he'll defend them, but we don't need him on the come on, we don't,
No.
look, everyone likes that. Like,
So thanks for joining us. So that'll be next Saturday. We'll be back with Granny's Peach Tea. Monday, well, actually tonight, right? You got on Sportsmanlike Conduct, Tim?
I don't know because we had to reschedule. We had 2 emergencies yesterday. Both shows got canceled last night.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know when we're going to do it. Hopefully today or tomorrow.
All right. So if you're into football and want to hear something about the Super Bowl, you can check out Tim and Faraci, and who knows, anyone else that might pop up on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Jason and I will be back on Monday for 00 Deep Dive. Jason, what do we got up for that?
oh, we got The World Is Not Enough, and I'm excited about this because I've only seen it once in the theater. I love the song. I think it's got the worst ending line of any movie ever, maybe not even just James Bond movie. But I don't remember what happens in the middle, so I'm excited to cover this. Ed, I don't know where you're going to fall. If it's terrible, I'm excited to watch Ginny defend it.
It could be the Batman and Robin of that era of Bond.
It could be. When Ginny comes on in costume, it tells us why we're all wrong for hating it. But I don't remember. So I'm excited to see it. Please join us. See what we think about The World Is Not Enough. We're almost done with the Pierce Brosnan era. And yeah, 00 Deep Dive, baby.
All right, if you're into wrestling, you can check in Eric and Tim on the Just Too Sweet show. Any word when you guys are bringing that back?
I believe Tuesday.
Okay. So if you
Tuesday.
want some wrestling,
Back
go
into
ahead
our
and check
in our
that out.
slot.
What's up?
Back into our regular slot.
Okay. What are you guys talking about? That any specific for wrestling?
Right now, we're going to get into. Well, we always pick a random pay per view from the past. We like to bring up and dissect, but we're also going to get into the whole what the fuck is going on with the WWE right now.
Okay.
Because are they selling? Are they not selling? It seems like they're selling. They could be. They could not be. So we're going to get into that too.
All right. So if you want to hear more about that, you can check out the Just Too Sweet show. Tim also does a Star Wars show called Shooting the Sith. He'll be talking about the Book of Boba Fett. I know you're working on scheduling for that, so check that out also. Rick, when any idea, any updates on your MMA show, your fighting show?
Old Dirty Fight Pod will be premiering in about 2 weeks. We got a lot of things coming up. Knuckle Mania 2, which is bare knuckle fighting competition pay-per-view. A bunch of me and the guys from the show are actually planning on going to that.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that'll be fun. Hopefully, we can show have a few pictures from that, or at least some stories. Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington will be fighting, so we got a lot to talk about. So yeah, we might be pushing it up to about the next week or two. We haven't figured out a night yet. As soon as we know, actually, I'll share it out here next week.
All right. Sounds good. Otherwise, it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So, all right. So I'll check you out next week. Enjoy all the Pop Culture Pros. If you like what you heard today, check us out on Facebook. Join the Granny's Peach Tea Facebook group, along with the Pop Culture Pros Facebook group. If you're following us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Follow Pop Culture Pros. All the shows we just mentioned are on there. Same thing with Twitter. Give us a follow at Pop Culture Pros, and same thing with Instagram. So take it easy, and we'll see you next week.
Come on, subscribe now.
Go do it.
Subscribe.